Welcome, everyone. I'm over here talking away. I was telling you all that I went live already. So we will kick off here in just a second.
Thank you for your patience, you all, as we're going live streaming. So it's happening. Okay, what's on everybody's playlist right now? What's your favorite podcast right now?
MM360, that's my favorite. Mindset Mastery.
Better say Mindset. Mindset Mastery Moments Podcast. One of my favorites. Who's your favorite guest on the show? All right, we're gonna go live in about 2 minutes. Are you all seeing my share screen? Okay.
Yes.
All right, everyone. The moment has come, and we are ready to go. All right, I'm gonna need you guys' live action to light up the chat. I believe that we are live. I'm hoping that our technical team can verify that we are live on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. For those who are not able to be in the Zoom room with us. Okay, here we go. I'm just doing a little bit of verification myself. Yep. We're live on, yep, but it's private. It's public now. So I can't even change my privacy status. Okay, it's on MM360. Perfect. All right, guys, we're gonna start. Thank you, everyone. Keep the chat lit up. You can go ahead and introduce yourself and start making some friends. And we're almost there at time. Our pages are live. Okay, thank you, guys. All right, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever in the world you are coming in from. Welcome to the Rise of Kings Summit, a sacred space where we don't just celebrate men. We restore, we recognize, and we rebuild them. Let's give a virtual cheer. As you all know, I'm Dr. Alisa Whyte, the founder of Mindset Mastery 360 Global Movement. I am here with our
Yes.
team. Yes, that's it. Let's get some noise.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
Let's go, y'all. Come on.
Let's
Ready,
go.
steady, let's go.
Noise. We are virtual, so it gets a little bit quiet here. And I'm not doing this by myself. As I said, we are here from Mindset Mastery 360 Global Movement, and we have some of our distinguished guests with us who you'll get to meet pretty soon. We welcome you.
Yes.
We hear you. All right. So why today? Why today? Why this summit? Why now? Because the world has taught men to be strong, but not always how to feel. The world has taught men to provide, but not always how to heal. The world has taught men to lead, but barely how to lean on others. And for too long, the weight of unspoken expectations, broken systems, cultural burdens, and silence traumas has been placed on the shoulders of our men, of the fathers, of our brothers, of our sons, uncles, and leaders, without the space to just be human. Can someone type just be human in the chat for me? Today, we flip that script as we do at MM360. We choose healing over hiding. We choose legacy over labels. We choose rising over merely surviving. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are introducing an initiative by Mindset Mastery 360 Global Movement that is called Men of Mastery.
Ooh, let's go.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
And that is why we are here to launch the Men of Mastery initiative under the MM360 global umbrella. This is not just a program, this is a movement in a movement to cultivate a global village of brotherhood, a village of love where men lead, grow, and heal. Where your vulnerability, my brothers, is not a liability, but it is a leadership tool. This initiative will span summits, mentorships, storytelling, healing circles, personal and professional development, and a collective shell of impact. And while I may have sparked the flame, this torch is not mine. It belongs to you, my brothers, to the men, to the kings, and to those who dare to rise. At MM360, we believe in empowering minds, transforming lives, and that in turn, we will change the world. The Men of Mastery division was birthed because we know when a man is healed, his household changes. When a man is whole, his leadership shifts. When a man rises, the world around him does too. Ladies and gentlemen, today we go forward. We don't just talk about excellence, we are going to honor it. We at Mindset Mastery 360, through our Men of Mastery Legacy Awards, will recognize men who embody integrity, resilience, and service. Men who rise not for applause, but for impact. Men who lead not from ego, but from soul. This is our way of telling the world, we see you, we celebrate you, we honor your journey, and we believe in the legacy that you are building. So to every man that's in the Zoom room with us today, to every man who's watching us live, to every man who will watch this later, this is the moment, and this moment is yours. This mic is yours. This mantle is yours. You are not alone. We are with you. The women in this room and the women who are standing around you, we see you. You're not invisible. You are needed. You are wanted. You are desired. And to every woman who is an ally and a supporter here, we thank you for standing with me, for standing with us as we shift a global narrative. Ladies and gentlemen around the globe, we welcome you to the Rise of Kings 2025. Let the journey begin. There we go.
Fire.
There we go.
Let's go.
Let's
Oh,
go.
I love it. I love it. Let me tell you guys, I've got some of the closest people in the world to me on this call and in my work and also in my personal life. So we're not going to be stiff. We're going to have fun. But later on, we're going to dive into a masterful conversation with these leaders from around the globe that is going to help us shift like no other. But before that, I'm going to play a little video for you as we get to introduce our keynote speaker for today, who's going to spend a little time with us. I just want us to get ourselves ready for the Rise of Kings, not only on this call, but all around the globe. Is my keynote speaker ready? I see him here. I see him here, but camera's not on.
He stays ready.
Oh my goodness. Let me introduce him today. I know that he's here and he's ready to go. Now to anchor today's summit with the power and clarity that it deserves. Yeah, I got fired up, but I am not it. Today is about the kings, and the queens are honoring the kings. I see some queens in the building. I know many of you are watching us live. But today, we have someone amongst us who we're honored to call our co-founder here at MM360. I have the joy of introducing not just a speaker, but definitely a true king of mastery, Dr. Kareem R. Ellis. He is the #1 breakthrough strategist, a 2-time TEDx speaker, and a visionary founder of the GPS Speakers Academy, a training program that helps to train world-class leaders in the bounds of delivering keynote messages, not change and entertain or motivate, but transform lives. He's a master speaker, coach, and trainer, a global voice who has spoken on some of the most impactful platforms over the last 20 years, from boardrooms to ballrooms, from correctional facilities to international summits around the globe. He was the 2nd place winner of the Great American Speak Off, and he holds the distinction of delivering the most viral speech in that competition's history, assuming over 10 million views today worldwide. Some say it's the most powerful 2-minute speech on the planet. More than that, Dr. Kareem is also, as I said, the co-founder of MM360 here, a brother in this mission, a humble servant leader, and a man of vision, fire, and purpose. Now, today, we are honored to call him friend and brother. Dr. Kareem R. Ellis, we welcome you to the stage. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you, Dr.
I'll take any applause I can get at this point in time, because we are here to celebrate the legacy of several kings. And the thing that's so important and so valuable to me is the fact that I know a lot of these kings. Some of these kings I have worked with, some of these kings I know personally, some of these kings I have shared the platform and the stage with. And if God has his way, we'll continue to do the same thing beyond 2025. So first and foremost, I want to remind everyone that the message I talk about today has nothing to do with me, but I want to celebrate all the kings that are here in the present, and most importantly, the presentation of future kings that's going to arise, due in part to being part of this masterful organization. So I'll be honest with you. I thought long and hard about what to talk to you guys about today to kick this thing off. And I was rummaging through my thoughts and getting a little bit of personal prayer time with God to figure out what direction we want to take this conversation in. The thing that came up was simply this: what game are you playing? You heard me correct. I said, what game are you playing? Now, I know I don't look like the oldest person on the platform. I will fight to defend that. But believe it or not, I am 49 years young. They tell me that when you take care of your body, black don't crack. And I'm here to prove that. But being that I am a child of the 80s, one of the things we did in the 80s that we love so much is we consistently and consecutively played board games. I mean, don't get me wrong, video games existed, but this was before the video game era really hit its highlight. And for a moment, I want you to think about some of the games you played growing up as a child. You see, I remember playing this game right here. And I know I got people from all over the world, so some of these folks may not understand what this game is, some will, but I remember playing Battleship as a child growing up, right? If you remember playing Battleship, just jump in the chat and say, I remember, right? Yeah, I remember playing Battleship. I also remember spending time playing this one right here, Connect 4. It's all about getting 4 in a row, whether you do it vertically, diagonally, horizontally. The game doesn't end until you make the proper connections. I even remember spending several hours playing this game right here, which is called Monopoly. And I'll be upfront with you. I think Monopoly should come with a disclaimer, because I believe Monopoly has created more divorces in households than any game known to man. Monopoly games can get pretty volatile. But the one game I feel that I learned in 3rd grade that had the greatest impact on me, this game right here. No bells, no whistles, no fancy trinkets, no colorful items. It was simply a checkerboard. Now, I remember getting a checkerboard for the first time at my surprise birthday party when I was in 3rd grade. Facts about it: when the board game came, it looked very similar to this, where you opened it up, and on the outside, it had a checkerboard, but in the inside, it had backgammon. Now, I'm going to be upfront with you. I didn't care about playing backgammon. That was not the thing I was interested in. Because in 3rd grade, all of my peers at school played one game and one game only. They played the game of checkers. So when I opened up the package for my birthday, I realized very quickly that this game came with a bunch of pieces. Like, it came with tokens like this. And I remember asking my dad, what do I do with these? And Dad said, well, that's for a different game. That's for the game of chess. What I want to sit down and teach you is how to play checkers, because your peers in school are playing checkers. And so checkers came with 2 different color tokens, 2 different color checkers. Usually it was black and usually it was red, and you pick and choose which one you want. In school, we played fire goes before smoke, and that's how the game got set off. So I want to give you 5 things that I learned just by playing this game that I think embodies the kings that we are literally celebrating today. Number 1, the first thing my father taught me, he said, when you sit down at the table to play against your opponent, I want you to start with the win in mind. I asked for a little bit of depth because I didn't understand quite honestly what my father meant by it. He said, your thoughts will dictate your results. If you think you're defeated, but if you sit down at the table, guess what? The game is already assured and the loss is already in your pocket. Whether you think you can or think you can't, in the words of Henry Ford, my friend, you are right. And so when I look at the people that we are celebrating, when I look at the kings that we're celebrating and the milestone moments that they have shared with us, the first thing I understand is all these individuals started their journey with the win in mind. It doesn't matter what the opposition looks like, because for some of the kings we celebrate today, they had to operate against opponents and adversities that were bigger and better. And in some seasons and cycles of their life, they were greater than them. But they still showed up with the win in mind. The second thing my father taught me, he said, once you sit down, you got to figure out your strategy. See, if you play the game of checkers, you don't want to randomly just be moving token pieces all over the board. You just don't want to randomly just be moving pieces, move pieces. No, you want to look at that playing board, take a look at your opposition, and figure out what strategy do I have to invoke that's going to give me the victory. Because in the game of checkers, the game doesn't end until you wipe all the opposing players' checker pieces off the board. The individuals we're celebrating today, they are strategists. They may not have #1 breakthrough strategists in the back of their name, but baby, best believe they are strategists. They have been very strategic and methodical about the moves and the steps needed to calculate out the win. The third thing my father taught me, he said that you got to take action. You can sit down and think about how the win is yours. You can figure out your strategy before it's your turn to play. But at some point in time, action is required to actually invoke yourself into the game. The individuals we're celebrating today, they did that thing masterfully. They have taken action in a multitude of different arenas, which has produced powerful results. Because I'm going to tell you something real clearly. In life, you cannot win when you decide to do absolutely nothing. These individuals took action, even when it looked like the action may have been wrong. The fourth thing my father taught, he said it's all about getting your game token from this side to the other side. From this side to the other side. Now, the reason that's so important for my checker players, because if I can successfully get my token from my side of the board to your side of the board, there's something powerful that happens in that moment. You gotta crown. You gotta crown. In that moment, my checker goes from just being a regular smuggler checker into all suddenly being an anointed king with the crown on it. Why is that so important? Because in order to win at the game of checkers, you literally have to jump over every piece on the board and wipe it out. Whether you front jump, back jump, double jump, side jump, the game doesn't end until you wipe everything off the board. But if you can get your checker piece from one side of the board to the other side of the board, in that moment, you get king. And the beautiful thing about kings on the checkerboard, kings on the checkerboard don't move one move at a time. They don't move one move at a time. They can literally jump whole rows. Why is this so important? Because you understand that once I'm able to move quicker and faster after my goals and my destiny, everything around me picks up speed. My ability to get to my finish line happens quicker and faster. And again, I'm throwing this out there because from the individuals we celebrate today, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know every single one of you, but I know a lot of you. There was a stage in your journey where you were moving literally one square at a time. And for some of you, you mastered the art of leaping rows. And let me explain why this is so important. I said earlier, when I become king on this board, I can move whole rows, which means I can wipe my opponent and my objective out quicker and faster. But for me personally, I didn't want to just play the game and get one king. Oh no, that's not strategic for me. See, I was the individual where I was going to try to get all my pieces to your side of the board. Why? Because I didn't want to see one king on the board. I didn't want to see two kings on the board. I want to see 4 or 5 kings on the board. Because with that level of backup on my squad, there's no way in the world you're going to beat me at this game. Now we're dominating the literal playing field. Why is this so important? Because in order for that step to happen, I had to find what's called a kingmaker. Now, some of you heard me talk about this before. Some of you, this is your first time. But when I say a kingmaker is the individual that has the ability to open doors and introduce you to opportunities that you don't currently have access to. And for most of you, that kingmaker is the person that's responsible for helping usher you into your destiny. When people ask me who my kingmaker was, because I've had a lot over the years, the most notable kingmaker I've had is a gentleman by the name of Les Brown. Les Brown saw my gift, he saw my talent, he saw my command of the microphone, and he said, you got something special. You got a gift, you got a talent, and it's my responsibility to open up the platform so you can now land your plane on my runway and take off your plane on my runway. That's what kingmakers do. Kingmakers are all about putting you at the appropriate place at the appropriate time. And for some of these folks, the reason why you saw what I call a dramatic shift from where they started their journey to where they are now, they have walked across their kingmaker. And let's not be gender specific on this, because there can be queen makers as well. What Les Brown did for me, I have a responsibility to do for other people, which is help to knight them and crown them so they can dominate the playing field the same exact way. And the last thing that my father did not give to me, but I've decided to add it in here today before I land my plane, is the power to reproduce. Let me explain to you why this is so important. Because one of the things I hear consecutively in my travels from people that are successful, they say it's lonely at the top. And every time I hear that comment that is lonely at the top, I got to take a pause. I got to fall back. Because if it's lonely at the top, the question I have for you is, have you done a good responsibility or your due diligence, making sure you are pouring into people's pathway so it's no longer lonely at the top, because you're taking your accumulated wisdom and knowledge and your help producing additional kings to run the board. For all the individuals under the sound of my voice that we are celebrating today, I want to say thank you. Because there's something about seeing successful men and they grind and they hustle and they season commanding their kingly magic that inspires us to move forward. And if I'm not the first person to say it as we go into this weekend, we're at a pivotal place on this planet, not country, planet, where the world is in need of what Les Brown calls messengers of hope. Now, I'm not saying that with the idea that everyone under the sound of my voice we're celebrating, you got to pick up a microphone and go out there and speak. But just showing up and being available to individuals that admire you because you secretly inspire them may be the very thing they need to first put their piece on the checkerboard and then play the game all out in order to win. Last thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to walk away from it. When I got this game for the first time, I said it came with two sets of pieces. I had checker pieces in one hand, and I had chess pieces in the other hand. And my father in third grade said, I'm only going to teach you checkers because right now, that's what I want you to focus on. But by the time I hit fifth grade, he said, it's time for me to teach you chess. And it kind of blew my mind because even though the games are dramatically different, right, there's a lot of similarities about it. I mean, they're both games of strategy. Your job is honestly to win. But the one thing that I realized that was the difference between playing checkers and playing chess, and this is for my elevated folks, I said earlier, in the game of checkers, the game doesn't end until you wipe all the pieces off the board. But in the game of chess, you're not trying to wipe everything out. In a game of chess, you are focused on putting one thing, which is your goal and your dream, in checkmate. That's how you win the game. And in playing chess, I learned that it's my responsibility to understand the moves of all the other pieces on the field. I got to know what my bishop does. I got to know what my rook does. I got to know what my queen does. I got to know the valuable pieces from the non-valuable pieces, right? That's leadership skills. That's me understanding the world around me and stepping up to the plate when the world needs leaders now. And I want to land it on this one note. In the game of chess, the game doesn't end if I lose my pawn. I lose pawns all day long. The game doesn't end if I lose my bishop. It doesn't end if I lose my rook or my knight. And dare I say it, it doesn't end if I lose my queen, which is the most valuable piece on the board. And this is for men on this call today, where you have gone through a relationship shift and the person on your arm, that individual, that queen is no longer there. Listen, do not believe that you lose the game if you lost that piece. My men that have gone through divorce and bounced back, or toxic relationship, bounced back, they will tell you this. I thought the game was over when I lost my queen. Let me be clear about this. In the game of chess, the game only comes to an end when the king runs out of moves. For all the men under the sound of my voice today, for all the men that will watch this replay later this week, no matter what happens, hell or high water, no matter how tough things get, no matter who comes, no matter who goes, no matter what happens with the environment that you live in, no matter what you think or what you feel, you have a responsibility to your destiny to make sure that one thing pivots over anything else, that you never let this system of this world allow you to run out of moves. My name is Dr. Kareem Ellis. And on behalf of Mindset Mastery 360 and the celebration of kings from all over the world, I land my plane by asking you that powerful question one more time. What game are you playing? Dr. Alisa Whyte, I'm passing it back to you.
Woohoo! Thank you, Dr. Kareem. Thank you, King. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. That is so powerful. I'm going to be listening to that all over again. Where is our COO? Can we get her spotlighted? Now, where I'm going to introduce to all of you around the globe, our beloved COO, Chief Operations Officer, globally, Miss Ambassador Deb Halt. Miss Ambassador, where did I get that? Ambassador Deb Halt. Spotlight her, and she's going to give us a greeting before we transition over to the moment we are waiting for. Go ahead.
Well, welcome everyone, and thank you so much, Dr. Kareem. Always making me think, always pushing, always making me get out of my comfort zone. So I appreciate that. And I just want to say thank you all for showing up, because that's the one thing that he just talked about. Take action, show up. So you are here today showing up, and I know that we have an incredible lineup of folks that are going to share their wisdom. Yeah, words are hard, Dr. Alisa, but to share their wisdom, to share their authenticity. And I think that's one thing that I really love about this particular movement, about this group of people that are showing up today, is I don't believe you'll find more authenticity than what you're going to establish today. Today is not about giving you the 7 steps, but today is about authentically slowing down, investing in you, investing in each other, and then so that we can go out and take that action and not run out of moves. Not looking for you to run out of moves. So stay dialed in, stay plugged in, and welcome all, and thank you for having me today as well.
Thank you, gorgeous sister. We appreciate you. We're going to make a transition and get ready for our panel discussion. We are getting our speaker reel ready, so you guys, ladies and gentlemen, guys and gals all over the world will have the opportunity to see who they are. Let's see. I have a little bit. Here we go. Because our team worked so hard on making sure we have all the things. So just so you know what's up next, they've created some really cool stuff for me. All right, we're getting ready to introduce our list. I'm going to tell you about these individuals. We'll see them here. I definitely should be fired from the position that they give me, but they do get me to be anything they need me to be for this movement. Let's go, guys. Here are our speakers for today. You've already met the one. Lady. We appreciate her for being here today. Okay, is there anybody else? Ambassador Trevor. Oh. Let's make sure we get them up in the spotlight. inviting all our speakers so we can get going, guys. Deborah Hall is the CEO and founder of Core Training. Thank you, everyone. Ambassador Nadoum from Cameroon is in the building. I think we might have to swap spotlights. And our new ambassador, Ambassador Nick Moran from Florida, originally from Belgium, the CEO of, oh my goodness, it just slipped me because I don't have my notes with me. I apologize.
Good job, Trevor Holt.
And Michael J. Pope, our brother. We're so excited to have you. PBS fam, MM360 fam, also JMT DNA. Welcome to MM360, my sis, Holly Patton. So happy to have you,
Double H.
Oh. His Excellency from Nigeria, Ogambe Uche Nwosu, my brother, and our global MM360 envoy, and the founder in the state of New York.
Thank you, Dr. Alisa. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to this book.
Thank you for being here, Your Excellency.
Thank you.
Well, he's also our brother, so he's got to come. He has no choice. And from Ghana, Franklin O'County. Thank you, Frankie, for being here. Dr. Tom, I'm not sure, my brother, my cousin brother, that's all that matters from Guyana, Dr. Dexter Todd.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I saw Frankie here for a second. Okay, good. And one of my favorite guests from last year, oh my gosh, all my guests are my favorite, but he is also a big supporter of MM360 all the way around, Mr. Bill Landon. Ambassador Eno Praise, all the way from Nigeria, in conjunction with the UK. I know he's either in the UK or he's in Nigeria. Welcome, Ambassador Dr. Eno Praise, our brother and global impact envoy. Thank you so much. And my brother from another mother, Mr. Arthur J. Rutland. And our very own ambassador, Mr. WTF, Ambassador Ernest Moss, coming in from Chicago today, right? We don't know where in the world we are because we are busy people. All right. Global Impact of Fatherless Daughters, Dr. Doris Wesley. We're so happy to have you. You guys got to check out what she does for the women as it relates to the men. And coming from Guyana, South America, by way of Atlanta, my newest brother, Mr. Sion G. Rodney. Welcome. So happy to have you. I'm just going to enjoy hearing his accent. Okay, what else do we have? And we have a new member of the MP16 join us Mr. Admin is Mr. Lakin Sobhamin. Think about what these names, I promise you. Coming from Missouri, right?
St. Louis, Missouri.
Thank you so much for being here, brother. Strong roots out of Nigeria with the Yoruba tribe. His family has a All right, are we ready to go? This is the moment we're waiting for. Let's talk about it. Thank you all for saying yes and being part of the Rise of Kings, leading, living, and leaving a legacy is this year's theme. Your voice is essential to helping us shift the narrative, and so we're so glad you're here. So the first topic that we are diving into is breaking the silence. The first topic is breaking the silence. And in this one, we're discussing mental health, healing, and holding it in. The goal is for us to open up a space for real conversation on mental health in men, exploring what they carry silently and how that impacts their life and leadership. So our first question is, what's one thing men are suffering with silently but rarely talk about? We want to know. What's one thing that men are suffering with silently and rarely talks about? And why? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got our first panelist jumping in. Mr. Michael Pope, let's spotlight him.
Alisa, thank you so much. So in my opinion, I think one of the things that a lot of men are suffering from silently is imposter syndrome. I know I dealt with that early on in my years. Of growing up into corporate America, feeling like an imposter, even after lots of achievement. And no matter what the accomplishments, always feeling like I'm not doing enough or I could be doing more, and just in silent of what do I do next? So, yeah.
Wow, imposter syndrome. Wow, thank you, Michael. Anybody else has something else to add to that? I see a hand. Lincoln, come on, brother.
Lakan Shobomehin here, and to my Nigerian brothers, it's really Lakan Shobomehin. So I'm sure they want to correct me on that, but that's my Americanized version I made up as a young boy. But one of the deep things, and I've been in ministry and working with men for a long time, and even recently I've had a conversation with some men, but it's different forms of abuse. We never talk about when men are the victims of domestic violence, when men have been abused at a young age from whether it's a family member or things like that. Certain communities might say, hey, you're airing dirty laundry, but men get abused also. And we live in a society and world that really does not acknowledge that. And when, the world teaches men to be these lone rangers without Tonto, I'm kind of dating myself with the Lone Ranger and Tonto reference, but men go through different forms of abuse, emotional, physical, mental, and they need to deal with that. And they go through life and then, hurt people, hurt others. And so when you're walking around unhealthy and toxic, you're not getting help. You're going to do that to others. So it's just different forms of abuse that men are dealing with silently. And like I said, I recently had a brother who wants to deal with that because, things happen to him, sexual abuse. And so we really need to deal with these things and come open and honest and transparent about it, and make sure our men are getting help, because those types of abuses lead to mental health, relationship issues. It can bleed in even to your careers, your marriages, your families. So it's pretty deep and significant, and it has to be dealt with. So different forms of abuse. A lot of men deal with this silently. So yes.
That's deep. We do address a lot of the different types of abuse that women and girls encounter, but we hardly ever talk about it for the men. Thank you for sharing that, Lakan. Brother Sion, let's hear from you.
I think men suffer from where they find their lack of support, not being heard, and not being listened to. And quick examples, because we have a large panel and in recognition of time. The man go to the police station, he been laughed at. The man go to his peers, he been laughed at.
Yes.
And he have to conceal everything in silence of his hurt, his pain, when his manhood has been shattered.
Wow. Ooh, that's, and I coming from where we come from, both Sion and I have Guyanese roots. I was born and raised there, so was he. That is one thing for sure happens in our part of the world, and I can say for Africa as well. Men cannot even not even allow. We're starting to get a little bit better here in the US about it, some of the more developed country, but not real. Our brother Trevor, let's hear from you.
Hey, what's up, y'all? So glad to be here with y'all today. And I think one of the things I work a lot mostly with youth and mostly high school and college students. And I think the number one, I think like this is a generational curse, but their willingness to be their wantingness to be great, but they're so, I don't know what the whole reason why, but they're so nonchalant when it comes to certain things. Like the teaching of, oh, you gotta be cool, calm, collected, and men you gotta stay strong and not show emotion, and you gotta be just stern. That has led to a generation of wanting to be great, but not knowing the consequence of being great, and knowing that being great causes you to be looked at weirdly or be looked at a certain way or talked about. And sometimes, especially being kings, you're not crazy, you're not weird. A lot of times you're just first. And when we talk about be stern, like you want to be courageous, but the wow, words are hard sometimes. Like, agreed. But the root of being nonchalant, of being cool, we think cool is attractive, or being nonchalant is just cool. It
Holding it
breeds.
together. Yeah.
It's so, but that's not how you be great. Being great also means that you care. And sometimes showing that you care causes you to breed emotion. And when we mentioned earlier, when men share emotion, a lot of times we get viewed as weak. So to be strong means to be nonchalant. I think that's where to keep it simple.
Right. It means that you don't go deep. Just stay at the surface, be cool, calm. And our brother, Ambassador Doom, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Elisa. I think I will speak directly from my part of the world. Um, I
Which
believe
is
one thing,
Cameroon. Cameroon in the
yes,
building.
which is Cameroon. I'm from Dumstanis from Cameroon. With men in this part of our world, a man's greatest fear is to communicate fear, which means to begin
Ooh.
with, yes, to begin with, as a man, you are considered not to communicate fear or failure, which
Wow.
is very deplorable. We grow up literally, we grow up in a background where our parents really loves us, but hinder us from communicating. As a man, you are not permitted to cry. As a man, you are not permitted to worry. They ask you like, why are you this? Why are you that? The moment you want to speak, no, don't speak. Why are you talking? Just man, no, just go and do it. You have to be a man, but you don't have that guideline on how to become that man. So you are totally being swallowed into yourself that the moment you are hurt, the moment you have fears, the moment you're experiencing failure, and most of those things, you can't even communicate it. So that's one of the greatest stuff that men around my part of my world, they're suffering from. You are not free to communicate failure because you are a man. You are not free to communicate fears because you are a man.
Wow.
I think with that, I'll give it over to other panelists to share their own views. Thank you very much,
Yes.
Dr. Alice.
Hazim Salim said, I wish I could grab that, but it went by so quickly. Our brother Uche, can you give us from your perspective coming from Nigeria?
Okay, coming from Nigeria, one of the greatest um, problem that we have and silently is killing men is the pressure, financial pressure, and knowing very well that this part of our world, men are not supposed to say, I don't have money. Men are supposed to carry the pressure of family and extended family, apart from your own family, your immediate family, your children, your wife. You have another extended family, brothers and sisters, and who are pressurizing you to bring money. And men are dying silently because they don't want to open up to say, look, I don't have money. But due to the culture, the pressure that you must be able to take care of your siblings, including the extended family. So men tend to die silently without knowing that they are going through a lot. But in order to give and to make the extended family happy, you must provide. Probably they don't have. And because of that, most of them tend to do more things that it is difficult for them to really communicate back and say, look, I don't have it. So it's a big problem in our part of the world. Pressure of money. Men are dying silently that they cannot speak, but knowing very well that they don't have it, but they try to do it because they want to satisfy the family and the extended family. Thank you.
I saw that Vanessa saying in the Caribbean, it's quite the same for a lot of men. Dr. Todd, another man of the globe, but speak on behalf of our Guyanese brothers too.
Thank you so much. I speak from the perspective, I think, of being in the legal profession for over 20-something years. And I think this goes back to how we were socialized, especially in the Caribbean. There has been little or no lesson on how men should deal with emotions. And I think because of the fact that we grew up in a society which has mainly promulgated that we internalize our feelings. So we have come to a problem of not able to recognize emotional symptoms. We're not able to recognize or train men how to deal with anger. And I think what the main problem that we have developed is what is called anxiety disorders. And we see that a lot of some of the men who are placed before the court. And when you talk with them, there is so much bottled there. And because of the fact that the avenues, and this is mainly through our teachings, are not there to allow them to speak and to express themselves to maybe another older person or to a woman or to some institution, the bottling of that has created great problems in society. And I think that's why we have in the Caribbean, I think, a lot of disorders, anxiety disorders being developed, mainly because of the internalizing of feelings, of how men internalize their feelings and not being taught to express it.
Deep. There's this quote by Dr. Thema Bryant that says, "Boys don't cry became a rule, and now too many men are drowning in silence." Dr. Ellis.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm going to say, man, there was so many great answers in here. It's like, I was going to say that one. Oh, I was going to say that one. And the men are just cleaning up house by dropping gems that have affected us for decades. So what I'll offer at this point in time is I will say the lack of positive role models. I'm going to say lack of positive role models. I grew up in a household. I'm a child of the 80s. And so a lot of people raise their kids the same exact way with the idea and the mindset that you become who you hang with. Most of us grew up in households where our parents dictated who we were allowed to hang with on a regular basis. If my mother and father did not know one of the kids that was hanging out, you got to go back home. I got to get your parents on the phone because I want to make sure my son is hanging around the right element, because birds of a feather will flock together. The thing that blows my mind the most in this season, and I'm not shamed about my success, as Les Brown says, I don't say this to impress you, but to impress upon you the pertinence of why this is so important. I can drive around the city all week long in my very blessed by God a Porsche convertible, and I had somebody point out it's pronounced Porsche, and I said it's whatever I pay for, right? But what I will notice when I go to certain locations, young boys of color come to me and they will assume I play football or play a sport or I'm a rapper or heaven forbid I am a drug dealer. Because they believe the only way you can get to that level of success and money is by one of those three avenues. And I'm not here to knock music choices or whatever have you, but I know I grew up in a household my parents were selective even over the music that I listened to, the words I listened to. Why? Because as a man thinketh, so he is. And I think there's a standpoint where we as leaders have to start to put our foots down and open our mouths about some of the filth and the trash that's being pumped into our youth at such an early age. The very fact that these kids came up to me, a total stranger, saw my vehicle, and just inquired, just asked, it let me know one key thing. They are looking for leadership. They are looking for direction.
Yes.
I didn't entice the conversation with them. They always entice the conversation with me. One of the things I will do, however, is I will step outside my car with that top down. I will let them get inside my car. I will ask them for their cell phone. Not to be like ICE. I ain't trying to check to see where you at, where your temperature, what you feel about the climate, what's going on in the US. I want your cell phone not to be nosy. I want your cell phone so I can take a photo and a video of you inside this car so you have something to focus on to notice you can do it too. Shape up a child in the right direction, and when they hit a certain age, they will not turn from it.
Right.
So I think there needs to be a standpoint where those of us that are successful, we make that part of our legacy. Why legacy? Because legacy is what we remember about you when you're long gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's your legacy. And for everyone on the sound of my voice, your legacy should not be your tombstone. This is something that blew my mind, and I'm going to land the plane after this because I'm a speaker by trade. I can talk all day long. But someone said to me the other day, you understand that when you pass away, where they bury you at, that tombstone marks your final resting place. And your immediate family, my daughter, my grandson, they will come to that grave site to visit me. But when they pass away, who visits my site? Who comes on my birthday or Father's Day to lay flowers at my deceased gravesite? See, I want a legacy that outlasts the generations of my kids. I want a legacy that's going to outlast me. And I believe everyone at the sound of my voice has the ability to do that, to leave something so impactful and so outlasting that when you're long gone, people will still be learning from the nuggets of information, your success, your accolades, not just your wins, but also your setback, your challenges, your defeats. Because folks out there right now, the youth out there right now, they are hungry for it. And if they're not getting it from the right place, they'll get it. It just will end up coming out of the wrong arenas and categories. So I'll go ahead and pass that microphone back to you, Dr. Lisa.
Oh, thank you. All of you have opened up the well for us to flow here today. And just so you know, in about 48 hours, if you're connecting with the voices of the speakers, they're all going to be on our website, theriseofkings.org, where you can connect with them. Almost every one of them on here, everyone, coach and mentor. To just take this this segment into a round, my last question in this round is, we have to offer some solution, right, men? And this is also where we ask for women to join in. What does healing look like for men who've been taught to just man up? Hands up, let's go. There's my brother Bill. Can't wait to hear you. Let's get Bill in the spotlight here. Come on out, Bill.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, the answers to that last question were really good. I really like that. I liked all the way people were thinking and the way they were verbalizing. The emotion, the controlling of emotions, not letting them out, I think was actually one of the really key pieces, because for 40 years I didn't cry.
Ooh, 40% better, 40 years.
Yeah, totally random numbers.
I
there,
know,
but,
right?
Yeah,
I know, right?
But and when I started crying, it totally changed how I connected with people. Last night I was watching a movie and I was sitting here crying while with the intern, and it's so freeing to be able to do that.
Yes.
Just to be able to, and my kids have seen me cry, because I don't want them to be trapped in the frame of it's not okay to cry, because that's an ugly prison, because now the rest of the emotions are also shut down.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I wanted to get that off my chest. Can you repeat the question one more time? Because it is.
So I think I would say that's part of the answer already, is to teach our boys and allow our men and know that it's okay to cry. The question was, what does healing look like for men who've been taught to just man up?
Yeah.
And I would say it's just let those tears go.
Let those tears go. The other thing is, and I think I'm lucky that I didn't verbalize this, but I found this when I was young, is being able to go after your desire.
It's okay.
Yeah. And really being able to step outside of what the culture says. And, you know, to Trevor's point a minute ago, it's hard and it's ugly and you fall down a lot. And I have lots of scars and I will die with zero regrets. And that's the legacy, right? Is my kids know that. And so being able to say, here's my desire and here's why it's important. And, you know, I want a Porsche, whatever it happens to be, right? You know, the kid that wants a Porsche, awesome. You know, go after that and make that happen. You want to travel, you want to take, like, whatever it happens to be, you know, you want to exercise a lot. I don't care what the desire is, but being able to actually say it and then having the courage to go after it is huge. It's incredibly freeing.
Yes.
And I think the lack of that and the lack of us talking about it is killing people. Like I talk to my kids all the time about their desire. Like I am adamant. I want to know, like, I want them to be able to say, yeah, this is, and like right now, my older son is struggling because he doesn't have a sense of purpose. He's like, yeah, I'm, you know, I've got these short-term things, but I don't really have a bigger picture. And I can see that's a problem for him, right? He wants that. He knows I have that. He knows his younger brother has that. And it's just have the desire, you know, and be able to say it, like, this is what I'm going after.
And it's okay.
It's
No
okay.
Guilty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bill. I saw Ambassador Peter saying he cries in his room alone all the time, and it's very healing for him. However, the reason I believe so firmly on why I want our movement to initiate and carry this, and I'm setting all y'all up because y'all know it ain't gonna be me doing it. I'm just starting it off. I need to allow for our men. Women, we get in salons and we start talking and getting our nails done and we start crying and stuff. Men are not allowed to do that. So if you guys can't go to the salon and do that and you're not allowed to do it in the barbershop, then you guys need to create a space where it's allowed. If it took you 40 years to cry, Bill, then we need to create spaces where you guys just cry.
Yeah.
I will say every man in my life knows that they can call me, and whatever emotion, every man, every woman, every child, whatever emotion they're having, they can have that emotion and I not feel disrespected or disregarded. And that's me creating a safe space. The men in my life, right here, okay, right here. Brother Rodney, let's go.
I'm looking for the solution in terms of getting rid of the phraseology of happy wife, happy life.
Eradicated.
Where a man was taught to get out of himself, make someone else's happy, and not taking care of loving himself to understand to love someone else.
My God. You just start a whole heap of confusion as we say that. Share problems. We're going to come back to that in a little bit. So we think that one of the things men need to do to help them to get over with the just man up concept is eradicate happy wife, happy life. Okay, we can dissect that little. Let Trevor go. Go, Trevor.
All right, this is a perfect segment off of what Bill was saying, and not just about like crying, but also understanding that a lot of times we talk about mindset, and it's more than just mindset. It's mindset regulation as well as emotion regulation, and understanding you can feel all emotions. A lot of times men are trained to like just not feel emotion, or when we feel emotion, if it's not something we think is good, then we deflect it, and it's like, oh, I can't feel that way, so I have to feel this way. But deflection is actually a sense of insecurity, because if you were actually strong, you'd embrace it. And we have to start teaching people to understand that it's okay to feel certain emotions. It's not wrong to feel any type of emotion, because why is it wrong for something to make you feel a certain way?
Right.
It's not. It's how it made you feel. So it's not wrong in any sense to feel any type of emotion for what something or what someone does that makes you feel a certain way. Yet people will make you feel bad about feeling a certain way about something or someone, but you're not wrong because it made you feel a certain way. But we can't deflect what we're feeling. We have to understand, okay, this is what I'm feeling. Why am I actually feeling this way? And a lot of time, if you dig deep and start asking yourself questions, and I feel like that's the number one thing, the best way to heal ourselves is to ask ourselves questions. Because I'll say this, I was going to talk about this later, but we do not come into this world knowing anything. We don't. So most of our personality is actually a learned behavior through thought loops and programming based off our what we tell ourselves, what we think.
That's
And so
perfect. Yeah.
understanding that feeling emotions is normal, and there's nothing wrong with feeling a certain type of emotion, and you can't just deflect emotions because deflection is not going to help you heal. You have to embrace it, acknowledge it, and understand that a lot of times the way that you're feeling a certain emotion, hard truth, but it comes down to it's mostly your fault. It's not what other somebody did. It's more of, okay, why did that annoy me? And a lot of times it has to do with our own selves. And if we understand that if you let other people make you feel a certain way, it's not that you have to feel wrong for feeling a certain way, but it's not right to continue to feel that certain way by holding on to the emotion that that person gave you, because science research shows that your body only has a 90-second physiological response to something. So after 90 seconds, everything that makes you feeling, it's all on you. Meaning it's the thought loop pattern that you're continuing to tell yourself is why you're continuing to feel a certain way. Remember, your body only has research shows 90 seconds is a physiological response your body has after feeling a type of emotion. So just know that it's okay to own it, and then don't reflect it, but embrace it and see how you can actually handle that moving forward.
Thank you, Trevor. And Bill was saying, yes, we need to take care of ourselves first. It's just like the airplane safety briefing. He's absolutely right. And that's the happy wife, happy life. If that whole frame is taking you to take care of someone else before you take care of you. And you can't pour from what you don't have in your reservoir, period. Dr. Doris says, love your neighbor, wife, kids, friends, others as you love yourself. She's responding to banning the happy wife, happy life. You can't pour from an empty, see, there we go. I told y'all. Michael says, it's not wrong, it's truth. And then I love what Tiana said. She said, gaslighting yourself to think, and this is in response to Trevor, gaslighting yourself into thinking it is wrong to feel a certain kind of way. Your heart, your body felt that. Allow it. Then Michael is saying healing is unlearning the lie that emotion is the enemy. Healing starts when a man chooses honesty over hiding and connection over coping out and staying alone. Over coping and staying alone. Oh my gosh. Ambassador, His Excellency Omugamba. Let me unmute for you. I can help y'all.
All right. So I think the only way another way you can do that is to seek, open up to a friend. You know, in life, there are men and there are people who, when they are going through a lot and they want to come out of that situation and man up, you open up to a friend. If you are not married, there must be a particular friend that once you talk to that friend, you are fine. And the person will just talk to you and say, look, let go. And sadly, you let go. Sometimes it can be through our wives. And when you are going through a lot and you just want to free yourself and clean up your heart and make yourself free from what you are going through, you talk to your wife. So communication is very key to this. Once you communicate what you are going through and what you are feeling, then it gives you that room to let go. And once you let go, you are a free man. It's okay with women because women knows how to do that. Women are always ready to communicate their feelings, but to men it's very difficult because we find it difficult to express our feeling because we think that when we are man, we are the leaders, we are this, we don't want to express, we don't want women to see us as being weak. But that's not being weak, that's expressing yourself and allowing the more emotion and the burden you have in your heart to let go, and you'll be free. I think that's another way of letting go.
I love that. And that is exactly it, because we all need, that's why we're creating this space for Men of Mastery, because we need to have that brotherhood. We raise women to naturally have sisterhood and to be expressive. And for men, it's like, oh, come, son, you're a big boy. You know, big boys don't cry. So you're trained that way, and it continues from generation to generation. So I'm asking all the women listening right now to get out a piece of paper, and I want you to write a slip. Actually, this is going to be a check that you have to deposit. I give the men permission in my life to express themselves, and I am patient while he learns how to. A lot of us are running around. We hear all these people on the internet saying men are lacking emotional intelligence. Men are lacking emotional intelligence because we don't allow them to be emotionally intelligent with themselves. Dr. Doris says, before I give the microphone to Arthur, recent studies show over 1 in 4 men globally report having no close friends. Yet most would never admit this out loud. They suffer quietly, believing they must handle life alone. Arthur. And remember, we got to give it 60 seconds.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we got
There we
you.
go. I always remember when I'm thinking about relating as a man with people, that I get to have more information and build my awareness about how I see myself, what's a vision for myself. And I feel men are not able to find a vision for themselves because they're not able to understand that they have value. And, it's different from confidence, as I talk in my book, and how I separate the understandings, like you can have a solid self-esteem and show up confident, but it doesn't mean that you're gonna be able to see your worth at different intricate times in your life where you have the choice of decision. So when we're not practiced in making a solid decision from a core sense of self-reliance or self-belief, it starts to dwindle because it was mentioned before, community, finding people that it can encourage you, reaching out, finding what that is a practice in that belief because it lends itself to that vulnerability. I know for a fact that, I always talk about this word called versant. And it's basically, it's just a regular noun that's a region of land sloping in one general direction. Not a specific direction, but a general direction, meaning that you can fall in a direction that you don't want to go because you're in a cognitive loop over and over again. And cognitive loops just get to be broken down and brought more understanding to how we can understand our emotions better, how we can connect to people better, how can we get past the idea of what a lot of men have right now and a society as a whole is this a victim mentality, leaning into that because we don't know a stronger, more creative way to use our energies to be constructive, to put something empowering into our space. And finally, I always, when I think about what I'm talking about and what everybody's kind of leaning into, I always think about the great Zig Ziglar that talks about this in the words of a wandering generality, to walk around oblivious and ignorantly, happily ignorant to our potential, are the things that we're not trying to focus on and putting. And he puts that in contrast with, on the opposite side, being meaningful specifics. Finding the ways, always coming back to the question. Somebody mentioned curiosity before. I thought that was beautiful because if we're always being in a place where we're contouring our creative and our critical thinking, then we can actually put some more focus into the things that really drive us in our lives. And that's what really makes us follow through on it, right? Finding the meaning of things. But if we don't know our significance, how can we create meaning? So goals and actions that are specific and purposeful rather than vague and unfocused according to what Zig Ziglar gave, I always remember because it does fall down to a decision. But if we're not making enough decisions, we're not going to pick the right crowd to be in. We're going to be in that cognitive loop. We're not going to find confidence, the confidence of finding value in who we're becoming. And we won't even realize what we're becoming, because that takes the vision from our heart. And our heart is the one that keeps reminding us that we're breathing. That's the beat that keeps us in pace, so we can find and bring ourselves back to whole and say, I do deserve this. What's next?
I love that. I do deserve it. What's next? Ambassador Ernest Moss, you're up.
Okay. I wanted to jump in real quick because I love focusing on solutions. And a lot of people have talked about EI, which is emotional intelligence. You mentioned it, Dr. Alisa, which is a great concept, and I teach it. But here's what I'm going to say. How many of us are not intelligent about emotions? All the men in here know exactly how it feels to be sad. Everybody in here knows how we are intelligent with the emotions, but we keep it bottled up and we suffer in silence. So my solution is, all the men out here, even the women, when you leave this platform, whatever you do, if it's the gas station, wherever you are, walk up to a man and just embrace him. I mean, really embrace him, because we're intelligent, you all. We're smart as can be. We know that emotions is just energy in motion, and we got all the energy. We just don't know where to move it.
Right.
So my solution again is find you a young man, an older man, whoever, and be bold enough to embrace that individual and tell them, I love you. I love you. Not, oh, what's up? What's good, bro? No, I love you, my brother. And hold them for a hot second where they feel a little uncomfortable, but then eventually it'll be like, oh, that felt kind of good. I needed a hug. So again, I can keep going, and I'm
we got a lot to keep going. We only still at the second question, so don't even stop now. Dr. Ellis.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm a tap dance into the territory of my guy Ernest here, and I'm going to say studying that man for understanding versus studying that man to win an argument.
Say that again, Dr. Ellis.
I'm going to say study that man for understanding versus studying that man to win an argument.
Ooh.
When it comes to men, we're pretty simplistic. And I think the problem of it is, Miles Monroe said it best, if you don't know the reason for a thing, if you don't know the reason why a thing exists, there's a 99.9% chance you're going to somehow find yourself abusing that thing. 99.9%. And what happens with a lot of people don't study the thing that they want. They may want the relationship, but you ain't studied how to maintain a relationship. Men are pretty simplistic. We like sex, we like food, we like our sports, but the thing we value more than all of that, and I double dog dare you to argue with any man on this panel, we value respect more than anything else.
Do we have an amen?
To show that they respect us, and I'm not saying bowing down and kissing our butt, but making us feel needed and valued and appreciated. That man will move heaven and earth for you, literally. That man will move a planet for you if they feel respected in that current relationship. You got to learn how to study the very thing that you want. And that's flip side. That goes for men as well. But since this is the men's day, we're going to keep it on the men, which is study the thing that you want. And I'll pass the mic.
Ooh. All right. I'm going to go to the comments here really quick. Oops. Where did I go to? Carla says, yes, as women, we need to be safe, but you need to face yourself first. She said that she's saying that women need to be safe, but men need to take care of themselves first. And then Bill says, hugs give us oxytocin, good neurochemical for our hearts. Azima said, men who show their sad emotions are often called weaker men in society. So showing through emotions are signs of weakness. She's asking, are they signs of weakness or not? All right, over to our brother, Lekan.
Well, I appreciate that. And shout out to Ernest, fellow St. Louis in there. yeah, we'll definitely have to connect. But at the root of all this stuff is we have to have humbleness and humility. Getting back to your initial question is, how do men heal? How does anybody heal? You have to have humbleness and humility and be open, honest, and transparent. You have to call a jack, a spade, a spade. You have to recognize that you even need healing. One of the metaphors I like to use when it comes to a problem is you can't keep clipping the branches. You have to get to the root of a tree. Okay. And you have to get to the root of the problem. Why do I have this issue? But first, you have to call it a tree. You have to call it what it is. And so for men, the world does not tell men to be humble and have humbleness and humility. It tells them to be strong and this and that. But humbleness and humility is the key to life. A young man just the other night, I just joined an investment group, and a young man, he's an entrepreneur. He was asking all of us older gentlemen, what's the keys to success? What's knowledge and wisdom? And I told him, you have to be humble and hungry. Pride goes before destruction. Haughtiness, pride, arrogance, and ego will have you fall on your face every single time. And that's at the root of all sin is pride, arrogance, and ego. So we have to have humbleness, humility, and be open, honest, and transparent, and recognize that we need healing, and then take the action to get the healing and tap into all of those necessary resources.
Love that. Let's hear what our brother Nick has to say.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone. So I heard a lot of people talking about, like you, Dr. Alisa, talking about best friend, having a best friend. And I heard others, like Ernest mention having a mentor that you can go and talk to. What about brotherhood? Brotherhood is something that I believe is missing drastically. I don't feel like men are getting together for the right reasons anymore. And if we do, then you are in a great, great circle. It's like Jim Rohn used to say, like you are the five people that you surround yourself with. So choose wisely the people you are around with and people that you can be yourself around. And if you do that, you will go further in life a lot faster, and you can share emotion the best way possible. And that would be my answer to your question.
Ooh, brotherhood. That's the solution we're working on here at MM360, and it's going to be on you, men. Whoa, that was a tight segment. We hit it really hard at the beginning. Let's move on. Thank you so much for the panelists and those brilliant answers, very thought-provoking. I hope someone has shared a link and has already said, ladies, come in, the men are speaking. Let the men speak. You need notebooks and pen and a wide open heart with a mindset to grow, and you will learn a lot of things here. Okay, our second set of questions are coming in from the framework and the thought of fathers, fatherhood, and forgiveness, redefining the father wound. And this is exactly where I know a lot of us love and don't, are even also love us. A lot of us love to talk about, but a lot of us are also aware of, because a lot of times the father wound is addressed in women, but not addressed in men as much. So the first question in this segment is, what's a father wound and how does it still shape grown men? What's a father wound and how does it still shape grown men? Dr. Wesley, I know you won't jump in here because I don't think it's any different for the men as it might be for the women.
Yes.
Let's go.
I was actually going to raise my hand. Thank you so much for calling me. Oh my God. The insights that was shared, super powerful. Thank you so much. I was taking good notes. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to apply all of these things. But to speak on father wound, I'm speaking from a perspective of a social impact entrepreneur who addresses the issue of fatherlessness amongst women. And so it's quite interesting to kind of frame or reframe the perspective to look at it from the male's perspective. However, when we talk about the issue or the conversation of fatherhood, it's the same thing. It's just that the way it's being experienced will differ from a man versus a woman. And so what is fatherhood? Fatherhood is the loss of an emotional bond or an active ongoing pain or a scar that arises from a dysfunctional relationship between a father and a son, or a father and a daughter, or just one's father's figure. It depends on whatever the case may be. And so this could be like an absentee father, someone who was probably in prison, who was never present in a child's life. This could be from a father who was physically present but emotionally disconnected. And so when that happens, there is that loss of bond, and there is the, abandonment, and there is the neglect that happens. And then there's also the issue of a father who could be present but abusive, or quite unloving to either the mother or himself, and then he transfers the same aggression to the child. And as a researcher by default, I always like to come up with some statistics. Here in the US alone, we have over 24 million individuals who are suffering from the effect of fatherlessness. And so I know we are a lot of people, coming in from different parts of the world. So imagine what it looks like in each continent or each space. It's like a pandemic. The issue of fatherlessness really highlights how very important the men are, and how important it is for a man to heal so that he can heal the next generation and the next generation that comes afterwards. The heart that's carried by lots of fathers, from my experience, is that it's quite invisible, but it lingers on. And father's wound is something that can show up, in a man's insecurity, in inadequacy. Someone mentioned earlier imposter syndrome. Those are the fallout of father and daddy wounds, forms of abuse, financial insecurity. If you've never had a father who actually modeled how to manage money, guess what? You're going to replicate that same pattern. And so most of the dysfunctions that a whole lot of us experience was as a result of the lack of father to daughter or father to, son bond that we could have had growing up. And so this really leaves an emotional hole. And so we see a lot of men out there. We talked about not having friends. Why will a man have a friend with someone when he never felt safe, even with the father at home in the first place? And so the father, who was supposed to be a protector, who was supposed to be a guide, who was to be a shield to this man, actually has left him vulnerable. And now he's like uptight, building so many walls, emotional walls, and is unable to actually release himself and be vulnerable. So when we have men who lack vulnerability, guess what? It's because of the model they saw before them. And so we're gradually getting into a cycle where we're gradually shifting and breaking those patterns. And that's where a lot of us come in, where we're trying to, live a healthy, relationship, whether it's with our kids or with our wives, that kind of takes a different shape and model compared to what has been passed down, from previous generation. And in my practice, just working with different people, I've talked about, I love when someone mentioned earlier about it's okay for the man to cry. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to just experience some of these things that sometimes the society frowns at it and kind of make a man feel like he's weak. But these are the things that really sets him free. So those are the issues when it comes to fatherlessness. Fatherhood or daddy wound is such a deep-seated ache that a lot of manifestations that we see in the lives of most individuals stems from that particular foundation. So I just wanted to bring that up there. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Wesley and Brother Rodney.
How do we show up for our men in time of their crisis so we can be solution oriented? You never show up for a man to use that moment to put yourself above the man in a situation. And this is training ground for every one of us, despite of our title and our acronym and all of that. For example, what am I saying? You may be driving for 20 years, never had an accident, but here your brother have an accident. Inside the shop to be with empathy or compassion, you show up to highlight how long you were driving without having an accident. The man don't need to hear that. He shuts down. No longer he see anyone care in a safe space. Quickly, my second point in terms of the fatherhood. We are in a changing generation, and as a father myself, I hit many brick walls trying to train my kids how I was trained. Because I was trained as the parent to the children to do what I say as a father. Recognizing in the merging time which we live, if I listen to my children, I can be a better father. So we need to understand our day and our time that we have to listen to them. They have a voice, they have a suggestion, and we can be able to partner with our kids.
That is so well said. Because a lot of times men do it. I see His Excellency Owagamba and Dr. Ellis has their hands up. Can we spotlight them? And just to remind some of our speakers that are joining, if you want to get in on the question and give an answer or response, please raise your hand and we will find you and spotlight you, because I know some of you are now joining. Thank you. Go ahead, Your Excellency. I'm going to unmute you.
Okay, bonding, when it comes to issue of parental care, women are very good with bonding. You find out that most children are so attached to their mom than their parent, than their father. This comes with the issue of bonding. The greatest problem that women have is bonding with our children. You find out that most often time, judging from the part of the world where I come from, men go out every morning and come back probably in the night around 7 o'clock. And by the time they are back, the kids are already sleeping. While the mothers will go and come back early and bond with them, take them out for snacks, bet them, buy clothes for them, and keep them, and even dress them to school. The parents, between the woman and the woman tend to be bonding more with the children than the men. So parenthood, when it comes to the fathers, time has come when fathers have to take responsibility. Let me give you an example. Before now, when my kids are going to school, I'll be down there. Either I'm off to work, I won't even know when they have gone to school. But at a time, by the time they are dressing, going to school, I will come down. Something happened one day, and the nannies were putting the young boy in his shoe. And I told him, look, you're a man. Same way that I'm a man, I wouldn't allow a woman to wear my shoe or to untie my shoe. So tie your shoe yourself, you're a man. And the boy started doing it. And never would he allow the girl to tie his shoe. This is bonding. And sometimes you need to, parents, when it comes to the fathers, we need to take our kids out. By bonding with them, we are communicating, we are tying ourselves to our children. And this, in another aspect, can bring peace and unity and happiness in the family, not letting the woman do everything. Because once you allow, differentiate, and keep tied to your job outside your family, it means that you are giving a gap. The fatherhood is no more there. The only what the kids know is their mom, because you are not there for them. You are busy chasing money and making them look comfortable. But give out time to bond with your children. So bonding is very key in issue of fatherhood.
Very well said. The men need to, because you have to do so much outside, you need to be intentional, is what I'm hearing you say about bonding with your children. Dr. Ellis. You're on, we can't hear you, Dr. Kareem.
Okay, what about now?
Yes, you're all good.
Okay,
Very well.
gotcha. All right, so for the men that have gone through this, right, to make sure you sit your butt down and be okay with the healing process. And let me explain why I think this is so important. Close to 20 years ago, I helped a business associate of mine pack up to move. Humongous house. It's me, it's my best friend Harold, and this husband and wife couple, and they packing stuff up and they moving stuff out to the truck. And so I'm in this big house by myself where they all gone, and they got the most irritating chihuahua in the world. I love my little dogs. I'm not a fan of chihuahuas because they yip, 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 yip. And I ain't gonna lie to y'all. The dog kept barking and nobody was looking, so I did one of the stomps where you try to scare the dog to shut up. And so the dog ran into the cage. And of course, when they came back in, it's like, what's wrong with the dog? And I tried to play it off like I didn't do anything wrong to the dog. But I noticed this dog had a humongous curve in his back. And I asked, what's wrong with the dog? Like the dog is condensed, it's like a slinky. It's got this big hump in his back. They said when this dog was a baby, the breeder accidentally dropped this dog about 6 feet in the air as a baby. And when it landed, it broke his spine. They didn't take it to the hospital or the vet to fix it because they felt it was going to be too expensive. And so the dog healed with a curve in its spine. It struggled trying to run. It struggled trying to play. It struggled trying to eat because it had been broken and fixed in the condition of what caused it to be dropped in the first place. And there are a lot of us as men, because we are taught not to wear our wounds publicly, that it makes us look less of a man. That some of us have been through horrific things in the household, but we've never gone and sat down and actually received healing from it. And the problem with that is, for us as men, we'll accidentally bleed on a person that never cut us. We got to be clear about why it's so important for that healing, not just for us, not just for our families, but again, this goes back to legacy. And I'll pass the mic right there.
Wow, that's deep. Ooh. Ambassador Eno Praise.
Yeah, can you all hear me?
Yes, you're coming through well.
All right, great. So one thing I need to clear out here is, it's something I've always said and something I believe in. As fathers, we need to demonstrate what we need our children to see. And that leads me to saying that demonstrated leadership is the best form of leadership. What they say you do is what they're going to do. It's not what you say. So if I tell them to do this, that's your talk. But when you do what you want them to do, they see you, they emulate you. So whatever you want them to do is what we need to start doing. As fathers, we know what we've gone through over the years. We know where we're coming from. But for us to be able to move past that, yes, we know what we want to do. We know what we want to see in our children. What we need to do is demonstrate it for them to see. Once we do that, it is easy for them to emulate. Because they see daddy doing this, it means it's right. They see what daddy is saying, they hear what daddy is saying, it means it's right. So once they hear you say the correct thing, once they see you do the correct thing, they emulate you and it becomes a part of them. Even when they leave, they remember the things that they used to do. They remember the things that they used to say, and that becomes a part of them and forms them. So as fathers, we'll also be able to help our children and other men to go through the fatherhood. We need to demonstrate what has to be seen correctly. Thank you. I yield the mic.
Wow. Wow. The doing and the saying got to be aligned. I love it. Let's move into our third theme of the day. That's power, purpose, and pressure. This one is going to be addressing the identity in the modern man. The first question that we have is, how do societal expectations of being a man help or hurt men today? And so I want us to tackle this from the mindset of understanding that we're all programmed to think that men should. Our shoulds come from somewhere else. They don't come from within, and they certainly don't come from God. So we're walking around with the thought process of this is what a man should look like. This is what a man should do. And the should and shoulds, now you get all confused because a lot of them even contradict each other. They want men to be tough, but we want them to be emotionally intelligent. We want men to be quiet, but we want them to be communicative. So this, when I would love to see hands up already. This is a question. And here, good, hands are coming up. Dr. Eric Thomas says, you either live life on your own terms or you become a product of what others expect of you. And this is what I'm saying. Watch those shoulds. Ambassador Naidoo.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I think this is very particular with me. I grew up, I grew up with my mom and my other siblings. And as a last, and as a man, I will go to the farm and I'll have to show that I'm a man, by just physically being strong enough, physical strength. So, like after harvesting, they will have to carve your bundle, either it's wood or food. And when they give you that and you can't carry it, I'm like, you are not a man. What kind of man are you? Stanislas, you're not a man. You can't even lift up this thing. So with that alone, it's not really easy. you realize that we are pushed to an urge that we are forced to do the things that maybe it's not really time for us to do that, but we are forced to do that just to prove ourselves to the society that we are men. Actually, this is so terrific. In home, I was not permitted to fail in school. No, I'm not permitted to fail any course in school. Like from primary to secondary, why do you fail? You are a man. And they will literally compare you to other men or other guys like of your age mate. Can't you look at your friend out there? He can carry this, he can do this, he can do that, he can do that. So society puts you in this nutshell, like in these tight corners that you before you grow up to become that man that they want, that break you so much enough that you have less strength to even breathe as a man before manning up.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Lekan. The chat is
Well, I'll start with the negative. You said what are the positive and negative effects that society teaches for us what manhood is. Well, we know manhood in America is about being macho, and it's about Arnold Schwarzenegger, Predator, Terminator, all this macho things. But the greatest man I've ever known is God, Jesus the Christ, and so to me, the greatest man is the greatest leader in servant leadership. All the leaders I've seen, they've been great servants. And so servant leadership is what it's really all about. And once again, it gets back to the humbleness and humility. Because pride, arrogance, and ego, once again, will have you falling flat on your face. And also society teaches men that your value and worth is in money and material. Well, my question then is, when a natural disaster hits and you lose everything, what are you? And if that's the case, what are babies when they come into the world? They have nothing. Or do babies not have value? So our value and worth can't be in money, material, and how physically strong you are and how macho you are. And there's an old expression that says the loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room. Sometimes quiet is a strength, and so yeah, servant leadership, having a servant's heart, wanting to serve others, uplift others, and pull others up rather than pull them down or outshine somebody. Those are key to great leadership and what a man should be. So it's about following Christ and being humble in heart and serving others.
Got you. Taking care of yourself first, though. Come on now. I want the other panelists that are wanting to address this area to address this question. How can a man truly discover his identity beyond career, cash, and control? How can a man truly discover his identity beyond career, cash, and control? Those 3 C's that we think is what makes a man. But how can he show his identity beyond those? Our dear brother.
I can answer that in one word, and that word is purpose. And a lot of times we think purpose is something that we do, right? And also too, what comes purpose is authenticity. A lot of times we love to just, especially in the West, is just obsessed with labeling things. And so a lot of times we think our success is a label, or like Lakin was saying, materialistic things. And we live in a world where the world just pursues the desire of the flesh and not of the spirit, of worldly things, of the now, and the instant gratification and the dopamine chase and all that stuff. And when we're so focused on labeling things and obsessed with like doing and finding our purpose of what do we have to do in our life, it comes this process of overwhelmingness. And once we understand that purpose isn't something that we do, and here's a new definition of purposes I want y'all to walk away with and start utilizing, is that purpose is the best is what you have to give to others. And we all have something. We were created in the image of God, in his likeness. We have something. He gave us something of himself, that we are put on this earth for a reason. And so knowing that you have God-given talents, gifts, and abilities only unique to you, and only you can exemplify to its greatest ability, and stop the comparison game, and know that talking about being a king, God built you, He created you to make you a king, to give you an assignment over this earth so you can continue the heavenly reigns down here on earth. So know that your identity is, like Lakin was saying, is in Christ, and being humble and servant leadership all in one, and knowing that purpose is the best is what you have. And we all have something, and it's what you give best to others. And once you find your purpose in that, everything starts to make more sense.
Yes, thank you both, Trevor and Lagan, for that, because in the world that we live in, when COVID was taking businesses down, small, large, mom and pops, everything down, and we had nowhere to go, we couldn't get dressed up, and we couldn't get in our cars. Who are you, right? And a lot of us, a lot of people are still recovering from depression because of that lack of identity. When we lose a job, when we go broke, or we get this hits and we can't keep the money coming. Who are you? And that's why purpose is always important to find. Let's go and make sure we keep our answers to about 30 seconds. We're running down on time. Go ahead, Brother Arthur. I got you, Arthur. Go ahead.
Perfect. I'm always remembering a quote from Stephen R. Covey that states, "Strength lies in differences, not similarities." And I know in our society, we're always looking for ways to be like each other versus own our uniqueness. That is something that takes us to find solace in the person that we actually are from where we're at. Whether I feel for meditating, or somebody mentioned hugging yourself, coming up with a good way to wake up in the morning and to go to sleep at night, and not be so. Somebody mentioned about the competition. I think it's Trevor that mentioned, we're not in a place or a race for competition or things like that. It should always be collaboration over that, to know that you have a strength and I have a strength and they have a strength. And when we're willing to, and that word again, vulnerability, that always gets to be sorted out, and obviously humbling ourselves to be able to slow things down and to ask the right questions to ourselves during the process, helps us to really eliminate the competition, understand that the collaboration is stronger, that we're not of ourselves, even though we don't have to be conformist to everything that's negative or set around the wrong things to get things done, but to be okay with figuring it out for ourselves and finding others that are okay with patting you on the back and edifying a person. And that goes into the second thing that I think that everything should we can practice edifying people better. We can practice giving people flowers and hugs and saying you have it. Now, we could take it this way, we take it this way, but that building of belief in our society is lacking. But we can always find solace in ourselves if we are willing to just look outside the frame, even if we're in the picture, even though we're the center of it. And when we're able to do that, we can give it to other people too. So it grows in itself, and that's the beauty of, I think, where people can utilize that word purpose to find meaning in their lives.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Arthur. All right, so the next question, we're shifting and the panelists are already lined up and ready to go. This is one of the biggest ones for me. Love, intimacy, leadership, and men in relationship. A man's ability to lead is limited by his inability to love well. Dr. John Gray. So we don't often talk enough about emotional safety for men in love. The question that we're going to answer is, what holds many men back from expressing love or vulnerability in a relationship? It's still tied to the other theme a little bit, but we want to anchor it that way. Dr. Ellis.
I wasn't looking for that question.
Blood.
I was trying to jump in on the last segment. I was trying to get switch topic. So I'm gonna let the fellas get that one. I may segue around. I gotta drop my gem on that last one because we're talking about the loss of identity when it comes to success.
Yes.
And this hits a lot of people. It hit me personally because I didn't know the difference between seed versus fruit. Seed is what you plant. Seed is what you plant. Fruit is what you pluck. In my first season in real estate over 20 years ago, I made more money wholesaling. I think I wholesaled like 4 or 5 houses. I made more money that year than I had at any corporate job that I had. And what happened quickly was my ego got too big. I started getting the trappings of success. And then God humbled me by going through a season where it all got. Talk about lost identity. Talk about identity theft. Right? Because now I felt like a loser. Now I felt like a bum because I was bragging about my success. And now I got to try to hide the fact that I'm leaking money. I got to hide the fact that I'm not as successful as I thought I was going to be. One of the key elements for me is always knowing the difference between seed versus fruit. If I am this seed, the benefit of me comes from being properly planted in the right environment. The byproduct of the proper planting is the fruit I produce. That's the success. That's my ability to help other people. And my job is never to confuse my identity with the things I produce. Because if you leave fruit on any plant for too long, eventually it rots. I'm going to let that sink in for somebody, right? You are only as good as your last victory. You're only as good as your last success. I just competed in the Great American Speak Off in front of 150,000 people online and 9,000 people that sold out packed MGM Grand. And while that is fruit, based on the production of the planting of my seed and my gift and talent, that fruit has a shelf life that's only going to be so good for so long.
Yes.
That means I have to keep producing fruit. I'm only as good as my last victory, but I don't want my identity to be my victory. Because with some people will get to the point where they have some level of success and they'll cap themselves and think that's the best they got. When people were jumping out of skyscrapers during the Great Depression, Black Friday, Black Wall Street, the reason they're jumping out the window because they thought they hit the epitome of success and there's nothing else left. So I'd rather take my life. Wow. So it's dangerous to pigeonhole my success based on my accolades because I'm running the gambit of thinking that this is the best it can be. And I serve a God that says good, better, best, never let it rest. Let your good become your better. And baby, your better will always become your best if you apply yourself. And I'll pass that mic.
Dr. Wesley, you can finish up with that last question because I think you were in there for that one too. Where are my other people? Let's talk about love.
Oh, okay. Kind of lost my.
Are you here for the second one, or are you here?
Okay, I'll kind of combine both the
identity
and the lack of vulnerability.
All right, there's my lovers.
I wanted to speak on identity to say that identity isn't built on what we earn or what you earn or what you control, but it's shaped by who you are, especially when no one is watching. And so one of the biggest challenges that I see that most people, especially the men or even the women, when they get into this state of identity crisis is that they haven't studied themselves. We live in a culture and a society, especially when it's a marital, relational, female, male kind of context where the wife is expected, unspoken societal expectation to understand her husband. And so she's trying to understand this person who hasn't taken the time to understand himself first. So he could communicate to the wife who he is. And so we're just guessing, we're assuming, we're just moving from misinterpreting things. And so I'm realizing that we have a lot of men who are spending so much time understanding the stock market, spending so much time understanding the business, spending so much time understanding the culture, spending so much time understanding how to climb the corporate ladder, but not themselves. And so when you don't understand yourself, how can I help you? And so one of the questions I ask is, how can I help? Let me know how to help you. And so men are not journaling. And we talked about how women are able to express themselves. You hardly see a man really sit down with a notepad and a book and just say, I'm reflecting on how my day went. And so the inability to do that, we have a lot of men who are having this emotional outburst or who are feeling this emotion but lack the words to label what those emotions are. And if you don't label something, how can we know what it is so that we can help you? And so it's all of these things that leads to identity crisis. And it's coming back to why most men are not vulnerable. And the way they are unable to express love is that they don't even know how to articulate the love. They don't even know how to articulate, the feelings. So if a man feels like this fear of judgment or fear of seemingly weak or fear of emotional rejection, how can he communicate that? So there's a communication problem. And that's what I see even in the work that I do. It's like most people are feeling these things, but they don't know how to articulate it for the other person to help them. And it's really affecting marriages today, where it's like, you need to know who I am, but how can I know who you are when you haven't told me who you are? So men need to get to the point where they need to master themselves. It's like self-mastery and study yourself. It's almost like if you're a person of faith here, it's like study yourself approved. It's like you've got to study yourself first so you can show it to the world. And we're lacking in that thing. There's a huge gap in really meeting people who have really gotten that point of knowing who they are so they can communicate it to other people so other people can help them.
Oh, so the men are not given the training to understand and know thyself. That's what I hear. Bill, let's hear from you. The question is, what holds men back from expressing love or vulnerability in relationships?
Yeah. A lot of people have talked about how as children growing up, we're told that we shouldn't cry, right? We're told to hold our emotions in. And those of us that have gray hair probably got that more than the younger generation, right?
And Trevor.
Younger, yeah, more than, yeah, depending on where Trevor grew up. Yeah, exactly. And so having the understanding that just because we learn something as children doesn't make it true today, and being able to change our mental models and go, oh, wait a minute, I could be better serving myself if I see this differently, is a freedom. It's an emotional freedom to be able to go do that. And the self-awareness piece is so critically important. I think it was Doris that was just talking. Is that who it was? Yeah. That she was talking about is it's not part of the conversation. And it's not really part of the conversation for men or women in a way that's got depth and understanding. We tend to be this is my emotions, but we don't drop down the layer below that to say, well, why is the emotion happening? And we aren't taught, to your point, how to do that self-analysis and really go down a couple of layers and go, oh, wait a minute, this is why it's hard. This is why it's challenging. The other thing, and people may not like hearing this, but there is no scarcity of potential partners in the world. We have this story about finding the one, and it's a nice story. Disney loves it.
They make millions out of it.
They make millions, but it's a lie. Almost nobody anymore meets somebody, dates them, gets married, and has one person in their whole life, right?
Yeah.
And so recognizing that, part of it is figuring out what's going to work for you. And, if you have to get divorced, it's not the end of the world. I have an amazing divorce, right? So my ex-wife and I are phenomenal parents. Our kids are super happy. People ask us all the time, like, why'd you get divorced? And we can't live together. We're great at co-parenting, but we suck at living together. And so, like, that's a real possibility. People can do it. I'm not the first. My ex and I are not the first. We leaned on what other people have done before. And I think once you recognize that, oh, wait a minute, we could end this relationship or transform this relationship to having two addresses rather than one. We have shared custody. We focus on the kids. Now, I can go find somebody else to have a romantic relationship with other than the parent of my kids, and just have that be okay. But,
But you grew from that. You grew from that in how you're making decisions, because now you allowed yourself to know yourself first.
Right. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
I love it.
Mental
Now, I
knowledge.
want to ask the other panelists to anchor in. What is one thing men wish their partner truly understood about them? What is one thing? You can anchor it into the original question about being vulnerable in a relationship. Add in there. What is one thing you wish women knew about you? Or the woman in your life knew about you? Let's share. All right.
I got to
Bill,
say
go
this.
ahead.
So the thing that for me has always been true is that when I'm being vulnerable with my partner, it's terrifying. It is really, really scary, and I might not communicate very well. And my partner needs to actually have the courage and the strength to hear the vulnerability and not get upset that I'm not communicating very well.
So wait, hold up, back up. You
Yeah.
said the thing you wish she understood is that you experience a level of fear, so your words don't come out right sometimes. Is that what
Yes. Yes. It is very hard to communicate effectively and with empathy and compassion when we're in the middle of being afraid.
And then being judged for it all at the same
And then being, yeah. And so this is one of the things that shuts men down is we don't talk to women because we get judged when we're trying to communicate effectively and we're super emotional and it doesn't come out nice and polite and easy. And so then most of the time women get defensive. It is very rare that I've found a woman who can handle that and have compassion and be in that conversation. And the flip is when they come to us and they're afraid, they're upset and they're super pissed off, they expect us to be able to handle it.
Yeah.
And
move
that's
forward.
What's that?
And move forward.
Yeah. And so it's a bit hypocritical to not be willing to play both of those
guys. That's it.
You know, both of those sides, right? And it's a training problem, right?
This is why we're having this. This is why these conversations are so important, and I can't wait. His Excellency, please, you've been waiting. I'm going according to how the hands were raised, so everybody gets a turn. Let me unmute you. Here you go.
Okay. Let's understand this your question again.
The
And your
question
question is,
what is one thing men wish their partner truly understood about men?
no, the first one. I want to encore it
to
from
answer the first one. And the first one was what holds men back from expressing love or vulnerability in their relationships.
Okay, so why I want to go back is we're talking about love, and more often time women are very good in communicating love.
That is a lie.
I give it to them.
I'm gonna say this. I will say this. The world has led us to think that women are poor. And so what we feel, what we say is what's right. I think we're all as humans are evolving in understanding love and ourselves the whole time we're here. And I think that's all it is. But that's my argument. But
Okay, no problem. So when it comes to the issue of love and communicating love, I believe that women communicate love more than men. Okay, let me give you an example. Men are afraid of approaching a woman due to rejection. And that's the issue of communication. You meet a woman and you are afraid to, how do I start? Do I start with, hey, how are you? Or you look beautiful, or you dress well. So the communication at this point matters, because some women, you just meet a woman or your wife, you say, how are you? You dress well. Oh, you are beautiful. So you find out that men are always scared. I don't know how to start. How do I start? How do I go and approach this woman, this lady, the young girl I want to marry? Communication is very key. And again, when it comes to issue of communication, let me tell you one thing I observe with women, from judging from my wife. Whenever my wife dresses in the morning and she's about to go and I don't say anything, she would turn back and say, you didn't even tell me that I look beautiful. Oh, I will say, I'm sorry, I was busy doing something. I'm sorry. You look beautiful. You look gorgeous. You are the most beautiful woman on earth. She's happy with that. She taught me how to say this. So this is where men are afraid of. How do I communicate? Naturally, this your dress is fine. I wouldn't have even thought of saying, oh, you dress, oh, you look wonderful, you are amazing, you look sweet. I wouldn't have said that. But that's why I say that women are more good in love communication. Your second question is, how do women, what is it that women know? Please, can you come back again?
What was one thing that men wish their partner truly understood about them?
Communication. Communication is the answer. The
about?
communication, what I mean by communication is that sometimes me, myself, I get angry. And normally when I'm not happy, I will not talk. That's silent, keep dying in silence. And my wife would like, what is wrong with you? Please, can you open up and tell me what is the problem? My face will be like this. Please, baby, can you tell me what is going wrong? Are you okay? So the earlier your woman or your partner understand everything about you, having the password, I call it a password. You know, when you have to open a computer, open your phone, you have a password. For your wife to understand your password, and that password is the key upon which your wife will always unlock everything about you. And also the man also need to understand the password of the woman. With that password, you can easily open and understand everything about your wife. So communication and relating your problems and everything you do, whether you're happy or not with your wife, I think that's the best way a woman can understand the man. Thank you.
I love it. I really believe that the first thing is that you have to study your partner and understand where they are. And I think one of the biggest things a lot of us make mistake, you said so well that your wife did. She said she asked for what she wants and she trained you how she wants it. And so if women are able to articulate that, what I'm hearing you say is that men should be prepared to listen and lead. It's not that we're trying to tell you how to be and we want to change you. But if you want to be in a relationship with anyone, you have to understand what makes them tick. And now it's also a place where sometimes you don't want to tell her how beautiful she looks. She's like, I know men you would ask them how you look. They're like, what's wrong? What's wrong with your hair? Why are you asking me about your hair? She just wants you to tell her what she just told herself in the mirror, guys. So men learn to, if you can beat her to the ass before she asks, she's going to be even more excited. But your learning pattern would be, this woman needs a lot of words of affirmation on her appearance, not because she suffers with a lack of confidence, because it matters that she hears it from you. And vice versa. I believe everyone wants to know that they're seen, heard, and that they matter. But they do have a different way in how they want to know it. And your job as a teammate is to find out what that is. Thank you so much for sharing that. My brother Ernest.
Oh man, you done opened up something on this one. So I apologize if I have people in the house working. But I wanted to touch on this because my wife would kill me if I didn't say this. But
oh Lord, you see what I'm talking about? He's telling
right.
the truth.
No, it's fun. And that's the thing that I would want to communicate to the ladies is understand that we are different. I'm not your girlfriend.
Nope.
Hold up, wait a minute. I am not your girlfriend. I'm not. I'm not going to communicate to you like your girlfriends. So when I don't respond that way, it's because I am a man.
Because I am
and respect that we are different. We have different love languages. There's a book out there every couple should read. Men are like waffles, women are like spaghetti. That is facts. It's a book. They wrote a book about this. This is so real. Because if you think about spaghetti, women are intertwined with their emotions and they jump scenarios in the discussion. And now we're trying to follow where they're going. And we're like, well, you're not paying attention to me. Well, you just jumped 10 topics and I'm trying because I'm a waffle. I'm not a spaghetti. I'm not your girlfriend. I know nobody understands what I'm saying.
Stop telling my business. I am definitely the spaghetti. I'll be feeling so bad for him. Like,
but guess what?
Listening to me? Yeah, but
right.
like 5 things. Which one did you want me to respond to them? Like,
Exact. And so here, I got two things real quick, and I'm gonna wrap up. Here's the advice for the men. Pause. Pause her. If you're discussing, say stop. Let me make sure I'm with you. Because I do this to my wife every time because she all over the place. I say, all right, stop. Because we started talking about this, and now we're talking about this, make it connect. And they love it because they're talkers naturally, and they'll be like, oh, let me explain it. Instead of you saying, I don't know what you're talking about, just say pause, stop. Let me make sure I'm following you because that means that you're paying attention. Number two, I promise you, for any couple out here, we're talking about communication, but a lot of the communication is physical. Here's something that is biblical, scientific. You can take this home with you. What I'm doing with my hand right now, we doing yoga, we doing martial arts, we doing prayer. There's a connection, there's an energy. These are energy outlets at the end of your hand. So when you bring them together, you create a circuit, a connection. And next time you have a difficult conversation, grab your woman's hand. Grab that man's hand. Because here's what it do. As the gentleman earlier stated, he's so upset he doesn't want to talk. I don't care how upset you are. If your queen comes and grabs your hand, it's going to defuse the situation. And if you ever watch people who are arguing on TV, talk shows, even in counseling, you're distant. You're not connected. When you're having these discussions, connect. That's why we do this. Connect with her hands, and I'll leave it at that.
Powerful. Thank you so much. Arthur, 60 seconds on the clock for everybody. Come on. We got to get through this. We're almost there.
There we go. Got that mic going. Always had a problem with the mic.
Are you a waffle or a spaghetti?
I just have to say how awesome that last one was. That was awesome. It's a breakdown of communication, and I agree. Men are from women are from Venus, men are from Mars, that was a great book and stood the test of time for years, right? And understanding, what I would love for a woman to understand is to be patient with me and not to find frustration in how the communication process works. Because it's a lot. The word we haven't thrown around is, and I always say, I make it a 2-word: lovingly kind, and also I say lovingly patient. Those 4 words in different times can make the difference of of an argument or something where we're coming to the table as equals. It shouldn't be because I'm a man, or it shouldn't be because she's a woman. It should be that we made a decision to work on this together, and that type of being lovingly kind and lovingly patient in that, and making that process not where we're trying to just make it perfect, because I'm not perfect, she's not perfect, we're perfectly imperfect, which is great. And if I own that, then it would take her to own that as well. So I think the beauty of this complex situation is just simplifying it as much so everybody's included in the process.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. Michael.
All right. I'll keep it short here real quick. So back to that question of what holds men back from expressing vulnerability. I put it in the chat. And I believe it's a fear of rejection and judgment, right? A lot of us deal with that. And we've never been taught that emotional language that you've heard mentioned plenty of times throughout.
Yeah.
And then going back to that one thing, for me, it would be, even when I'm quiet, I still care deeply. Like sometimes we just don't know how to translate those emotions into words. And I know for me as a speaker, that's one of the things I've had to work on, like learning how do I show those emotions using my words. And it's tough for a lot of men, but it's something that we can definitely learn.
It's definitely learned because I've seen men who are great out in the world in their jobs as communicators, but when it comes to the romantic part or the home part or just the interpersonal part, they're like, well, this is awkward. And so it does take that patient woman who supports his process, but even though he might be a quiet one, he can't hide under the fact that that's who I am and that's who I've always been. I just was coaching a student on campus, I think yesterday, that he says, I'm getting him out to interview, and he's great student. He's great at work and everything. And his words are, I'm just a quiet person, Dr. Whyte. That's who I am. And I said, okay, who told you that? Well, everybody knows. And here comes his teachers, his professors, and everybody telling me. I was like, okay, so, well, let's just be quiet and not get a job then. Because if you're just going to be your quiet self and someone's going to hand you a job, when that happens, call me because I'm the workforce strategist and this is a new thing. He's like, Dr. Whyte, that's not going to happen. I'm like, it's not. So then you have one thing to do, and y'all know we're going to go through it, right? I said, one thing you're going to have to do is first tell yourself, I am learning how to interact when it's necessary in a way that people understand my mission, my goal, and that I can work with them effectively. I said, or you can choose to say, I'm just a quiet person, that's who I am. Or you can say, I'm never going to talk to people because that's not what I like to do. You pick one. They each lead to a different outcome. But last time I checked, you want a job, you need to make money, you want to be, oh, okay, good. Okay, so Dr. White, guess what? I'm working on becoming better at speaking. I was like, oh, so ready to walk through the steps on how you can do that. What I'm saying is that for men, because we have trained most men, and a lot of times the men who were talkative, we try to shut them up when they were younger. Then they become Dr. Kareem and we can't stop them. Just picking on him. I don't know where he is, but that's what he says. He got in trouble for talking because literally we would let a girl talk all day and tell a guy that, you know what, you talk too much for a boy. You talk too much for a man. I don't really like him. He's a little too chatty. Not right. He might be more expressive, and he might be he's a man who would lead the groups and the circles with you all to help you how to open up and how it wins. And then y'all help him how to be quiet when he needs to. It goes both ways. But switching over to Dr. Todd, let's hear what you got to say. Questions are: one, what is one thing that men wish women their woman truly understood about them? And then what holds men back from expressing love and vulnerability in relationships?
Thank you so much. I think I'm going to draw on two perspectives here. I'm going to draw on a biblical perspective, and of course, I'm going to draw on the perspective of being an attorney and running a very large law firm as to why some marriages fail. I think the most important thing here is to understand that men need to clearly outline what your vision is. And even when you come to the issue of patience, some women decided, I'm going to walk away because patient, how long do I be patient? I have no clue where this man is going. I have no clue which direction he is taking. He's messing my life up. He's messing the family up. And I think we have to be very practical. I think we need as men, we need to be clear, even at the stage of before marriage and after marriage, to be very engaging. You engage your partner. This is where I see the family going. This is where I see the household going. Yes. Many of us are successful in running businesses. We're starting up businesses, and we have excellent plans. We have the startup plan, and we're able to do all the assessment or evaluation of where we're going, but we don't do that for our own lives. All right. And sometimes we wish women keep us in check and to say, listen, I'm talking biblical here now. While I'm here as your helpmeet, I'm telling you, brother, you're running a bit off course and you need to get back on course. All right. So sometimes we need that, because sometimes how are women going to help us if we do not outline clearly where the vision is going? And this is like selling. Whenever I teach my MBA class, I tell them, I said, listen, you're planning a business and you want people to buy into your vision and to your business, but you got to be able to communicate it well. So it goes back to communication. How are we speaking to women, and are they seeing what we are saying, are they seeing that and able to match that to our actual practice or demonstration? Are they seeing the actions of the man lining up with what he is saying? So don't only preach, act. Women like to see that. Women like to see a combination of those two things. And I think when we pull those things together, we are going to, fair enough about fears. I think women can see our fears very well, because we have some women in our world, especially the Caribbean women. They know how to tick your button and push you. And they know the ones you react to fast. When you quickly react to something, they say, all right, this is where his soft points are. All right, this is where we can get under the skin. So sometimes our men are not able to hide their fears, but of course they can hide their vision. And if you don't express that vision, I think you run into a lot of problems.
Woo, golly. Listen, I'm just gonna go out and tell y'all, that's my cousin. Yeah, my cousin brother. We were raised together, almost in the same household. So when he speak on behalf of me too. So well said. He kind of give some of the men a whooping, but here's the things. It needs to be said. And again, while you're quiet, you got to talk. You got to be articulate, because women need a combination. He said it so well. Women need a combo of both. We like words and we like action. I don't know. I wish we were different, but I can't tell you. I haven't met any woman who isn't, right? All right, brother Sion, you've been waiting, man. You coming right after Dr. Todd. More Guyanese in the place. Let's go.
Well, I'm going to be a little more controversial. But the thing is that the man needs someone, the helper she should be, to help him to execute the vision that he has. The controversial part is that women, in the form of the mother, have to reframe the way how they brought up their daughters and train their daughters in reframing the societal mindset. What does that mean? Most women grow up with the understanding that they have to be strong women. So they raise up with the strength of being a combative and competitive woman, which is not in the right context for the man to evolve. Inside, we raise up strong women in the context of to be a strong supporter to that man, that man can evolve to be what he should be. So the woman is no longer be raised as a woman to listen, to respond. But if she reformed from a training of a good posture, she will learn to be a woman that will raise to understand. So I want to stand for the men. It is in your picking, in the dating, to determine the marriage.
Come on. Come on now. I want to comment on that briefly before I give that to Ellis, because he and I talk about this all the time. And I know Dexter and Brother Sion, you know about this, because in our culture, when I was being raised, I don't know about now, because things are changing. We were raised to be that helpmeet, right? We were raised to work alongside a man. We were also weapons of warfare. I am who I am. I am a boss woman on these streets, but when I go home, I just want to be a queen. I don't want to be in charge of nothing, but I want to be in a collaboration where the king leads and he is running that kingdom, and I am right there with him, helping him to run it. Otherwise, I don't want to be in any kingdom at all. I'm just going to have a space that now we have the queendom, but I will just have a kingdom that other kings are part of, but I don't have one at home that I go home to, because it doesn't work any other way. So women have ideas, opinions. We're not saying that women should be quiet. I don't want anybody to walk off saying that the men here on Dr. Lisa's platform want women to be quiet. No, that's not what they're saying. They want partnership. I think a lot of times we talk about relationship. Relationships don't work for a reason. Why don't you get in a relationship with your employer? It's a partnership where you work and they pay you. Why don't you get in a partnership in your small businesses with the people who supply for you, the B2Bs? No, it's a partnership that works, and you kink out all the details before you tie into that partnership. When things are not going right, what do? You say, hey, you communicate. This is not working. We need to fix it. Same thing in the partnership at home. Dr. Ellis, let's go.
Yeah, so I'm listening to the replies and responses from the men. They're all solid replies. So I'm looking for something to throw out there that I have not specifically heard. And I will say that one of the reasons why men don't open up to love like that is because they're afraid to be vulnerable. And is this, and I think every man has been here at one point in time. If you haven't, stick around. Life comes at you fast, right? Every man has given his heart to one woman and had it destroyed. Scripture says that affairs flow out of the heart. And so it says to guard your heart for that reason. I don't dare to speak for every man here. I've been shot. I've been jumped. I've been in car crashes. I shouldn't walk. I've been through a multitude of things. But the thing that almost stopped my destiny more than anything else was a broken heart. Come on now. I have been shot and had to take 9 months to learn how to walk all over again. I've bounced back from watching my funds deplete. But it was the broken heart was the thing that hurt me the most and shut everything down to the point where I had to physically and mentally put myself back in the game. And we live in a day and age in society where people will be attracted to you for the wrong reasons. They'll be attracted to you for the value you produce, but forget about the value of who you are.
Yes.
If I lose it all tomorrow, if it all falls apart tomorrow, because nothing is guaranteed, do I have my solid guarantee that you still got my back in the midst of?
Come on now.
We live in a day and age where people are fickle and things are interchangeable. And if you have one bad month, people are quick to go scatter around and go about their business and leave you out there stranded.
Yes.
So I think those of us that have put time, effort, and energy into our calling, our purpose, and our destiny, we're not going to give you access that easy. You have to prove it and earn it. One last thing I'm gonna say. I'm in command of 3 very mischievous but very lovely Yorkies. I've always been the small dog guy. I grew up raising miniature schnauzers. And I remember when I got them as puppies and I brought them home and they had to get acclimated to me because they weren't really comfortable with me. But the way I knew they got acclimated to me, one day I looked down and I noticed 2 of them had the audacity to sit in my house on my couch right next to me, sleeping on their back with their stomach exposed. Now, I thought that was weird because for the first 2-3 weeks I had them, they was always sleeping face down. Right? But here they are wide open, just hanging out. And I start to Google and figure it out. And it says when a dog does that, they are comfortable. Because with their stomach exposed, they are at the most vulnerable position they can be in if something is going to attack them. That's why dogs typically sleep on their stomach with their ears up, so they can be alert if something happens. With most men, we're just like those dogs, not in the negative sense. It takes a minute for us to get comfortable enough with you that we will allow our underbelly to be exposed with the belief that you're not going to hurt us in the process. That if things go wrong, you're not going to jump off the ship and leave us there to figure it out on our own. And I think you have a multitude of men that have been used as pension and paydays and 401ks for people out there that don't really want the love that comes with that man. They just want the provision that man provides. And if something happens to that provision or someone comes along that can provide more, a lot of these folks don't have that level of loyalty while they're out the door. Now, I can't speak for everybody else, but at my age, I can't keep starting over with people. This ain't like I'm in my 20s and I can just get, oh, this didn't work out. No, as you get closer to your end, you start to realize how valuable your time is, and you don't want to play catfish games with people.
Yes.
So that means you spend a majority of your time looking and studying red flags because you just ain't got it. I know successful men that should have gone beyond the horizon, but because they opened up to the wrong person and didn't check the red flags, all their hard work, effort, and energy got wiped out almost overnight. There's a math equation I talk about because all of us here know basic math. And as a kid growing up in the 80s, we used flashcards to teach math skills. And whenever you do addition, 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 2 = 4, 5 + 5 = 10. Addition means that we're going up in value. So if I add my value to you and you add your value to me, we're supposed to go up. But we live in a day and an age with a society of people where they great at catfishing. The only time math doesn't go up is when you add a number to a 0. 1 + 0 is 0. I mean, 1 + 0 is 1. 2 + 0 is 2. The number doesn't go up. It stays the exact same. And so I think there are several men out there that do look for love. They want it, but they are so concerned about adding their value to a 0 and not seeing growth. One last thing I'm saying to throw out there, right? The only thing dangerous than playing the math is playing the multiplication, right? Because if I multiply any number by 0, you get wiped all the way out. This is where I see people with high net worths and high bank accounts a lot of times and different industries that have worked their tail to the bone to create that level of success, and they multiply their value by 0, and the 0 wipes everything out. So I think as men, we're looking for love. But depending on how long we've been out there in these streets, we may be a little bit more difficult to show you our underbelly, because we got to guarantee that trust. And I'll leave that microphone right there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cream. That's so deep. Woo! I need the ladies, all the ladies to the microphone, please. Let's get Dr. Doris, Holly Cotton, if she's still here, Deb Holt. Who else is here as well? We're going to have the men, but we need women on this one. This is our final one. What role can women play in helping men heal, lead, and thrive?
Okay, I think we lost her, and I'm going to guess she's going to come right back in. So there she is.
We got her now. I think she popped back.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're still frozen.
Everybody there?
Oh, there you are. You're back.
Okay, there I am. I'm finally back. Yes, lady, let's go. Let's go. How can we help the men heal, lead, and thrive without diminishing their own power? And we want to hear from the men too. I just wanted to make sure we got some women on this. Deb.
So I think you need to know your worth. I'm a very strong-willed individual, and I have a very strong-willed husband. We have been married for 32 years this fall. We've raised 2 boys. And I think for both of us, obviously, we've always had a few boundaries in our marriage for us. And that has one of the biggest things was always we set the tone right from the very beginning, is that we would never swear at each other. And to this day, I can say that we have never sworn at each other or called each other a name. Because sometimes that whoever said sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. It's a lie. And so that's one thing that doesn't mean I went in the other room and screamed. It doesn't mean that I went in my car and did all the things, but to one another, that has always been one thing. But in order to do that, you need to know your own worth. And so for me, a lot of what we're all talking about in mindset is that taking that time for personal growth. That's why we have expert mentors like Dr. Kareem, like Alisa, and those of you that are on this panel that are building big businesses, coaching and training and all those things. It's because we believe in that power of personal growth, because you can't give away what you don't have. And so most of us, most people focus on what they can't do, what they don't have, what they're not good at, versus what they do have, what they can do, and what they are good at. And then Dr. James Clear tells us that 42% on average, our day is habit. So if our habit is can't do, don't have, not good at, we're not only not knowing our worth, but we're focusing on that. That's what we put on other people. So we can't see the good in them. And then when you throw in the emotions, because, we've got the spaghetti stuff that's going on with all the emotions as well. You can't give away what you don't have. And so therefore, I'm going to see your flaws. I'm going to look at the things that you're not good at. And there's that battle. And then there's no value in not only myself, but to my partner. And so I believe also that the relationship that you have with yourself is a direct reflection of the relationship that you have with other people. So if you can't love yourself, it's going to be really hard for you. And that's not being cocky. And that's, like Trevor said, what your purpose, knowing your purpose, dialing into the strengths that you have, the God-given gifts that you have been given, and take ownership in that. It allows you to be humble. It allows you to know your worth so that you can value other people and then add value to them.
I like it. Vanessa, what role do women play in helping men heal, lead, and thrive without diminishing their own power? You're unmuted.
Oh. So as I said before, women changing that mindset that boys don't cry and allowing them that safe space to now express themselves. So basically giving them that room to be vulnerable and not to pass in judgment.
Absolutely. Lovely. Well said. Dr. Doris.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on what
Deb?
Deb, yeah, mentioned earlier about strength. And this is something I see, could be personally, could even be with my contemporaries and, work life and all of that. I think one of the fastest way for women to help is to take the men out of the box. I think we subconsciously put each other in boxes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be speaking from the context of a spousal relationship, let's say the wife and the husband in this particular situation. There's just an unspoken and sometimes spoken expectation of what both roles, both genders should play out. And we've actually highlighted some of these things, all through the while we were speaking. But if we can really lean on each other's strength, it would really help. We have a lot of women, or not a lot, but we've got some women who are, intelligent and coaches and speakers. They're doing great things for other people outside in the world, except being able to replicate and transfer that to their spouse. Because their spouse will never see them in that light because they put them in the box of a wife. And so you've got this woman, she's educated, she's probably got a PhD, she has all the tools, the intelligence, and she wants to help her husband heal, and she wants to just get out of the box of the wife and step into the box of the coach or step into the box of a therapist and try to help him, unpack some of those father wound or, some of those things that really can create space for vulnerability and bond. But all of that is really hardly accepted. And so we're having a lot of women out who are changing the world but unable to change their homes. And I'm seeing this in my friends. I'm seeing this, like, look around you. You're seeing this happen everywhere. Women speakers, but divorced. Women this, but so many things happening. So if we can really just take out the lens, take out the box, and just look at an individual, like we've said earlier, partnership, and look at someone to say, what's your strength and what's my strength? I think I'm really dealing with this. How can you help me? Because she's there to help. She's there to be a helpmate, right? She's there to be a support. So why can't she coach you through it? Why do you need another coach? Why can't she be your therapist? Why do you have to It's okay to talk to someone who is professional, but I'm trying to say there are moments where we've just got to take out that lens and not necessarily see our spouses as who they are or who society has put them in. And then we lose out on some of these germs that we should be extracting from one another. And so that's one way I think women can really help their men heal. They're healing the world, but they're not healing their homes. And that's a big, big problem in today's world.
Like that. I can't wait to hear what the men have to say about that. But just to add on that, I really believe that that's the partnership. And at this phase in my life, I enjoy that. I enjoy the accountability coming from the king in my life. I enjoy that I am vulnerable and he is vulnerable with me. I enjoy that our wounds come up and we're confronting them in ourselves and then coming back and say, oh, you know what, I want to apologize for my response yesterday or whatever time that was, because I'm doing the reflective work as an individual and holding myself accountable. So now I have to let you know, here's what I just learned about me that could have caused you harm. And sometimes it doesn't. But because I am intelligent, emotionally intelligent, and open to that learning and growing and healing together, I think one of the ways women and men can work together to heal, especially when you are not in your early 20s or even younger. Once you've been through one relationship, you got wounds. Once you were raised by humans, you got wounds. It's not a question if you got wounds. So allow yourself to be in a relationship with a partner, male or female, that will help you unpack and heal. That is good for your nervous system. If they're not, let them go, because there's nothing that's going to come from that. Two has to commit. I'm going to see you hurt, but I'm going to be here and I'm not going to let you go. And we're going to work through it together. And when we need third party help, we will. But under God, we will do it together. And we commit to that process ongoing. And that's what I would say. Women need to commit to that without accusation or judgment. If you love that man, if you care about that man, even if it's not a romantic relationship, allow space for men to be, observe, and support. Don't confront, embarrass, and insult. And I yield to Arthur. Arthur, please allow us to, sorry, we took so long, and then we go to his Ernest and His Excellency, and we'll wrap up the panel discussion.
I think you ended that out beautifully, you know, and it really touches into my ad on what that is. I'm not married. I've never been married. I've been brokenhearted a few times throughout my life, as Dr. Kareem R. Ellis has put. That's probably one of our men's first trauma, you know, being underappreciated at the wrong times, and 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 overappreciated for the wrong things. And you know, I think, like you said, it goes back to this comes back around to this whole conversation that we've been having, is knowing our value and seeing and being human, going through the mistakes, being willing to get out of our comfort zone when it comes to everything. And in relationships is the first time that men, I feel like, really get yicky, sticky, right in that like comfort zone, and doing it messy. And the only time I think that we really do it messy, because of how we're tied up emotionally into the idea of what society tells us we should be, and also being a man and feeling masculine in our role, and having that, being that figure in a future dream of a household and picket fence and all that type of things. But I was going to say this. I just had a conversation, and I have friends. Most of my closest friends are in relationships, or close to marriage, or married. And the one that came up with a conversation with our group of friends the other day was that our friends feel like this particular couple, the man is being pushed around by the woman. And you mentioned about judgments and the complaints and the confronting on what that looks like. And everybody wanted something different from the friends, for him to, what they feel like, be an independent man and stand up and not buckle under, or, you know, or just succumb to what seems like her dictations of how they should be. And I asked him, I said, well, you guys have conversations with this particular guy, which is a friend of mine as well, all the time. I was like, but I don't have conversations like that with him. It doesn't come up in my conversation with him about something that he made a decision for, and how he lives his life. obviously on some type of scale is meeting him where he feels that is good for him. And so we can listen to a lot of judgment in between, around us, in us, and even from the person that we're across from, without really owning the fact that we get to make a decision around how we get to feel with each other, and nobody can really define what that is. And that's, they say, anybody who's ever said love is rational is out of their mind. Is the most, because there's no clearness in how you navigate with matters of the heart. You know, the second thing I'll say, and I'll brief this into what that is, the practicing of our emotional intelligence is something that we should be making a priority. We should be finding what we feel comfortable with, not being afraid to not do something with the other person, but always still discovering who we are, because we're going to change regardless. We're always in a flux of change, and the person across from us gets to understand that they are too. And when we understand that, we can have that solace, and we can have a complete selves. We become more whole when we come back together. And I think that practice should be in place a lot more.
I think that's the safety that Dr. Green was talking about earlier. With men, you got to allow them time, especially when, in statistics, and I wish I had the specifics before I let Ernest takes the mic. Statistics has shown that men take longer to recover from a heartbreak than a woman.
Yep. I would agree.
Bishop T.D. Jakes had spoken about this some decades ago in one of his sermons, and that's where I first heard it. And I started to look for more research, because I'm a little bit of a researcher and I like science. Show me the stats, okay? And so it's there, and that's one thing that most people don't know, because a lot of time men go quickly, because you guys are trained to shove it and man up, not look weak. And you go quick to another relationship, while women get into their little cubbies with their female friends or whatever. They have cake bashing party, popcorn and movies, and they get fat, and then they go get fit together, and then they get BBLs together, and then they go back on the market. All this time they're healing. Men go, this can make me look really bad now that I lost her, because my mom told me, my best friends told me, nobody never liked her, and now I gotta go. Well, I got to find a better one than her so I can look the part. And you go grab another chick. And again, she didn't go through the qualification process, and you never healed from that pain. And so your first heartbreak many times as men is still defining how you relate with other women, how you relate. And then, of course, a lot of times what men don't understand, their first heartbreak literally comes from their mother. And then that other woman comes because they're attracted, looking for their mother, reinforces that level of pain. And then you keep repeating it because you're not healing, you're moving and repeating it. So of course, it's going to take a long time. And that is something that we as a society are not very much aware about. We don't talk about that men take longer to heal and recover from heartbreak. But imagine the young man and the men having a village where they can really go in there and say, man, I loved her. Like, I would have done anything for this chick. And they listen and they empathize. And then they start walking through the steps of, let's talk about how you ended up here. And he's able to talk about it from his angle. And then you're able to show him, well, here's what you didn't know, my brother. Here's what you didn't know, my son. That this is what happens when this is when a woman is showing this is what this means. I've had men tell me over and over, when that woman did this first thing, I should have known. I've had men say to me, when I saw her mom do this to her stepfather, to her father, that was my indication that she was going to do it to me. But I couldn't tell that because no one ever told me. And this village we're building is so important for men to come together. Can y'all just start doing Zoom calls once every 2 months? Because we can't talk about everything. Ernest, take the mic.
Ooh, so many things been discussed and great insight, everyone. Yeah. Whew. So you're talking to a person that's probably the biggest loser with women up to this point. I've been divorced twice and I'm married again. And yeah, this is it.
You got it
but
right.
Anyway, yeah. But here's the thing. Keep this in mind.
30 times the charm.
Right, exactly. We oftentimes come into the relationship with rose-tinted glasses. We in love. We got rose-tinted glasses on. What do you see when you have rose-tinted glasses? Everything looks red. Even that little red flag that you thought was green. Think about it. You got those rose-tinted glasses on. So a lot of these signs were shown at the beginning, like Dr. Kareem said, we have to be better decision makers when it comes to picking our spouse. But here's what I'll say to the ladies. Stop trying to fix it. Stop trying to fix me. Stop trying to be someone who solves it. We do that. We're great at solving world's problems, the work. When we come home, all we want is tenderness. All we want is some sweet. Where my wife? I've been out in these streets dealing with pressure, violence, police, everything. When I come home, the last thing I want is for you to tell me what I need to be doing with my life. Even if what you're saying is true. It's a timing and a place for that. But after a long day, please be gentle with that man. Here's the one that most people don't know. Men are far more sensitive than women.
Yes, that's another scientific fact. Yes.
We are so sensitive, thin-skinned. You can hurt us deep. Women take pain and hurt all the time. Men, oh, what? My wife said that to me. My wife. So again, be gentle. We don't need you to solve all the problems. If we did, we would ask you. That doesn't mean we don't value your problem solving. We do. But there's a time and a place for it. And when a man comes home from a long day and he gets the door with boom, 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 it's like, damn, now I don't want to go home. And a lot of relationships break up because that man ends up at the bar not wanting to go home because when he comes home, he has a firecracker waiting to pop off and tell him, you need to do this, you need to do that. Why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? And it's just like, pump your brakes and just allow us to decompress when we come home, and we can talk about it later. But right now, I need my wife to be the girl that I fell in love with, not the boss I just left in the streets, not the one telling me everything that I need to do. We don't desire that. We don't. And one last thing, I know Dr. Alisa is about to kick me off. One last thing, you all, keep this in mind. It's not a straight line. Life is not a straight line. There will be pivots. I call it the dance. You got to dance, but you got to lead your partner in the dance. You can't dance alone. You look like a moron dancing by yourself. So as you're dancing through life, trials and tribulations, just remember, it's a dance. It's not, well, you said you were going to do this and you didn't, so now you're a liar. No, nobody wants to hear that. No, we pivoted. We shifted courses, but we're together in this. We are one. And the more that we focus on that, instead of what we're not doing right, the better we will be in all of our relationships.
I love it. Thank you so much, Ernest. Whoa, we haven't even gotten into everything. We have a lot to talk about. And I believe that once this is edited and turned into a podcast, you guys are going to hear how much value we've added to the world with these conversations. And it's a lot to think about and a lot to strategize on. How do we really move forward on? There needs to be content around this conversation. So every panelist, I thank you all for being a part of this conversation with me. I'd love to pivot with us going into the awards. I know some people are anxiously waiting to find out about that. But last words, I would love to add to it. It's going to take a village for all the things. And the reason kings must rise and we must help men rise is because at the end of the day, the way how things are set up naturally in order, how nature is set up, if the man is not standing where he needs to be, then the whole thing is falling apart. You can argue with me, that is my version of my story. That is what's true for me. So I'm seeing it that way. The men, we can empower the women all day. We can build nice schools for children to go. But if men don't get it right, then we still have infection in the home. We still have infection in the village. So we have to work together on all issues. That is why we come together. And it is the return to the village. And the one thing Ernest said there that I'm going to plug in here, because he said a lot of great things, is that you're going to have, it's going to pivot. It's a learning. Nobody's staying the same. We're all changing. And it's that the thing. What happened to the girl I married? I grew up. My boobs hang. Hello. You know, I grew up, I got gray hairs where I didn't have gray hairs before. So I can't be the girl you married. I'm becoming that woman that you are getting to know and love again. But I had that history of being a girl. Some things will stay with me and some things won't. And so you get to go through that only when you stick around, but both people have to decide to stick around. And that's the part about relationships. All right, let's pivot and talk about these awards and honoring the men that rise. I just want to encourage you all that we had a lot of nominations and the team helped us to go through it. But we basically went through all of it. Once it checked, it did. We are honoring every one of the men on our panel. So if you don't see it, it will be posted and released later to you. There are certificates and some award things that are coming over to you based on the awards, but I'm going to play the video with all our awardees now, and we will congratulate those kings. You know, a lot of people, what we got was people nominating the same persons over and over again. I thought that was really, really cool, basically. And this wasn't that type of award. That's the one we're going to have next year. Also, before I play this or while I'm pulling this up, I would love to see by show of hands or let's do it in the chat. If this conversation, if this type of event should be a live in-person event across the globe, I would love to see you light it up in the chat while I pull this up for us. Deb, can you give us some commentary? How many people do we have?
Yes, let's do it. Yes, it should. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Let's go. Yes, it should.
Oh,
yes.
I see it. I see it. I see it. I see it.
Yes. I would
So
gladly attend a live event. Would be so great. Yes, yes, yes. I dare you to say no now. Yes, yes, 100%. Yes. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Yes.
Oh my word. I wish my boys were here to help me. I want to ask us to give special recognition to three of the young men in the MM360 global movement, Ambassador Adewale, Ambassador Anedo, and Ambassador Nelson, we call him affectionately. These young men have worked their bottom off with taking all the crazy stuff in my head about what men, the rise of kings should look like and what we want to add to the world, and all the contributions from the rest of the community and what we wanted and how we wanted this to go. And they were the ones who were able to turn it into something that we have today so that I can sit here with you and facilitate this space. It is not any easy fit what we were able to do, and it's not easy. It's not easy dealing with me either because I have a vision and I have it so, and I would like it so. There were so many moving pieces. We're all volunteers, but we volunteer. So let's just give them some love in the chat as we get ready to see all the people. I apologize, I'm going a little bit slow, but we're getting ready to wrap this up here in just a moment. Right. We have some phenomenal men here. Go.
So let's have up is a name. Yeah, yeah, but so it's a
Oh, The only thing is they had a power outage where they all are, and they could not be here to do this part for me. But here we come. I promise I'm getting there. All right. And here are our nominees for this year's Rise of Kings Leading, Loving, and Leaving a Legacy awardees this year. We have Josias Jean-Pierre. Dr. Josias Jean-Pierre is a global award-winning author, speaker, transformational leader, empowering lives to break cycles and walk in power. He is getting the Kings of Impact Award. Congratulations, Josias. Whoop. Dr. Kareem R. Ellis is getting the Kings of Impact Award. Dr. Kareem Ellis is a #1 breakthrough strategist, TEDx speaker, best-selling author, leadership coach with over 20 years of experience, and also Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award winner recipient. He empowers leaders worldwide through his GPS Speakers Academy and his trusted voice over many things. Dr. Kareem, congratulations on achieving the King's Impact Award. The eminent Ambassador Chad, King's Impact Award again. He's a JP Award-winning youth advocate, author, speaker, and educationist, and a UN eminent ambassador and the Commonwealth Youth Leader. He's passionate about leadership, education, and youth empowerment globally. Congratulations, Ambassador Chad. Whoops. Somebody told me I clicked too fast. Congratulations to a Rising King. The Rising King Award category is Rebecca Samuel Chin-Onso, a certified Commonwealth Ambassador and Deputy Coordinator of United Nations Youth Association in Enugu State. He's had distinguished himself through academic excellence and leadership. And next, our very own Ambassador Nadum Stanislaw, King of Impact Award. Ambassador Stanislaw is a Cameroonian TV producer and life coach with over a decade of media experience, a graduate of performing and visual arts. Congratulations. He's the founder also of NOAS, Night of Arts Zesty. He has empowered over 1,000 young talents in arts and peace building within the last 4 years. Congratulations, Ambassador. Next, we have the Kings of Impact Award from Mr. Alhaji Musa Ba, a Sierra Leonean journalist, media personality, and youth advocate known for using storytelling, digital media to inspire social impact. He's also the founder of Dream Africa Franchise Limited and the creator of Omega British Blog. Congratulations, Alhaji. Next, we have the Mental Mastery and Resilience Award going to Harmony Mitubu. Harmony is a Bachelor of Science nurse and healthcare sustainability advocate, passionate about system strengthening, SDGs, universal health coverage. He's dedicated to healthcare innovation, strategic networking, and digital branding while integrating creative skills. Congratulations. Next Kings of Impact Award goes to Hashim Dempsey. Hashim is a protector of purpose, leadership. He's also a mentor and champion of Black excellence with over 23 years in law enforcement. He has the King's Impact Award as the Chief Security Officer for Operations Heroes Connect. He is a trusted role model for at-risk youth and children of veterans, providing safety, structure, and mentorship. Congratulations. Next, we have for Brotherhood Search Award is a one Anchara. Advocate Pawan Anchara is an accomplished legal professional and ambassador of Research Foundation of India. His outstanding contributions have earned him a place in the world of records, making him the distinguished figure in advocacy and research. Brotherhood Torch Award goes to Pawan Anchara. Congratulations, Pawan. Next is, a lot of you know him, Legacy Builder Award going to Sharik Shah. Sharik Shah is an international speaker, TEDx speaker, and an international voice in personal growth and leadership. Through his inspiring talks, online presence, he empowers individuals to embrace their purpose, lead boldly, and create meaningful impact. Congratulations, Legacy Builder Sharik Shah. Next, King of Impact Award. Let's get back here. King of Impact Award, Rising King Award goes to Victor Mubanja. Victor is a 24-year-old multi-talented creator from Kawabi, Zambia, excelling as a dancer, fashion designer, model, and skilled metal fabricator with artistic expressions rooted in passion and identity. He inspires young people through his craft and leadership. Victor continues to build a future. Congratulations, young king. Next, Kings of Impact Award, Rising King Award goes to Trevor Hall. Certified Maxwell Leadership Speaker Coach and Relational Leader Expert and an Honorary Global Impact Envoy. And of course, he is a CSO Senior. He has spoken to over 20,000 students, guiding individuals and teams to unlock their limitless potential. He's also from South Carolina with a background in communication and business. Congratulations, Ambassador Trevor. Next, Rising King of Impact Award goes to Ambassador Adewale in his passionate youth advocate leadership and coach, community development and TV, and is committed to empowering young people and driving positive social change through mentorship and advocacy. Congratulations, young king. We salute and we honor you. Next is our very own ambassador, Ibusi and Fachi Nelson. He is an African cultural dance artist. Whoops! I guess he tried to slide himself out a little bit quicker. He is a dancer and also a producer. And also he is, right here, the leader of our social media manager. He does all our social media work for us, and we're so grateful for him as a volunteer. Keep rising, and recently he released a book on Yoruba dance. Check it out. Congratulations, young king. We want to congratulate all these young kings who were able to rise along with the kings and masters. We have some honorees as well. I don't have those with me. Congratulations to all of us. I am going to hand the microphone to Dr. Kareem R. Ellis and Trevor Hall to give us our closing remark. Trevor, go first.
You're muted.
I'm muted. There you go. Well, first of all, y'all, I want to thank you so much for being here. It shows that we're not alone. That even though that we're literally in every single parts of the world, we're experiencing personal issues, but we're also feeling worldly issues. And we want society to be better. We want the world to be better. We want our neighbor to be better. We want our spouse to be better, our sons, our daughters, our family to be better. But the only for sure far way for that to be better is for the individual to be better first. And that's our responsibility for us to be better. And it's our responsibility to end generational curses, because a lot of our issues are through generational curses. And I want to leave y'all to take away with the ultimate success formula, and this is biblical. This is all the way in the very first chapter of the Bible of Genesis. And God gave man the first command that God gave us is the very first initial ultimate success formula, and that is be, do, have. God in Genesis, he told, when he created Adam and Eve, he said, let us create, or he said, be fruitful, do multiply, and have dominion. And so be, do, have. First is be. Can't be, can't do, can't have. Be a little, do a little, do a little. Or be a little, do a little, do a little, have a little. Be a lot, do a lot, do a lot, have a lot. And so it all starts with your identity and who you believe you are. And always remember that you come into this world not knowing anything. And it's up to you. You can question what people tell you, what about you or how things are. Like it is up to you you can question that. And it's not wrong to question what people tell yourself about you. And never forget whose you are and who you are. And one of the number one skill set is to want to be a kingmaker, not just for yourself, but once you become a kingmaker for yourself, you in turn become a kingmaker for other people. And that is a skill set of confidence. And I say skill set. Confidence is a skill set. Sometimes we think confidence is something that, oh, only those certain people have confidence. So I'm not that type of person, or we have to be in the certain confidence club to have confidence. But confidence is a skill set, and it's three areas. It's rooted in your identity, it's rooted in integrity, and it's rooted in impact. When you have solid in your identity and you know who you are, you can then base off of that action. Once your actions match your words, that is your integrity. So your identity and your integrity matches your identity. And now we think that confidence is something we just possess, but it's actually the feedback loop of your identity and your integrity, because you can have confidence for one moment, but the next moment you won't have confidence. And so it's a constant feedback loop of having your identity and your integrity. So you have your actions match your words. And that creates a sense of confidence. That's a feedback loop of confidence. And once you're confident in yourself, you allow other people to be confident, because confidence also is a sense of authenticity. And when you're authentic and you're strong in your confidence, you're willing to be vulnerable, and you're willing to, when people say, hey, no, you're not this, or make fun of you, you don't have to listen to them. It's like, hey, Trevor, I like your green hair. I don't have green hair. Just because it's not physical doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Doesn't mean it's not true. But because you can't see it, sometimes it's hard to believe something you can't see or can't trust. And so the number one way to build confidence in yourself is you have to build evidence, meaning physical evidence. I have my notebook here, and then I have written just pieces of evidence that I write down and that I want. I have my gym book where I log all my workouts. And some days we forget about the progress that we make as we become and grow into the kings and the fellow men that we want to become, that we can lead and we can stop these worldly things. And so confidence is rooted in the evidence. You must create evidence, because it's hard to believe in something you can't see and you can't touch. And sometimes the only time we really see ourselves is through a mirror or through a lens. And so we see how great other people are and their gifts. But we don't always own our gifts, but just always remember that you're born with God-given talents, gifts, and abilities only unique to you, and only you can exemplify to his greatest ability. And take the risk of being courageous and being to look a fool, because to a fool the appearance of foolishness is foolishness, but to the wise the appearance of foolishness is the path to greatness. So continue to be the model, be the light, and be the example of what you wish to see in the world. Dr. Kareem, to you, brother.
Absolutely. So Trevor gave some powerful words. I'm not going to hang around much for that. I think he darn said a whole lot that carries a lot of value, and it's a perfect note to end it on. What I will add is this, is I've always been reminded that it's hard to be a thing if you can't see a thing. It's hard to be a thing if you can't see a thing. And one of the reasons why we're here today is because we see each and every one of you, whether you're making a whole lot of noise in the back of the room or whether you staying quiet up front. We recognize you, King, for your hard work, your effort, your energy, and most important of all, your impact. The last thing I'll leave with everyone, for all my kings, just be mindful in this day and age not to let your journey take you to a height that your character can't sustain you. Other than that, I land my plane.
Woo! Keep rising, kings. We have come to the end, and there's just a couple announcements that I want to make. This does not end here. We're going to be recording some conversations with some of the other speakers who opted in to do pre-recorded, and that's also going to be added to the list here, and that will be on the podcast as well. Please subscribe and leave a comment Also, go to the website in a couple days to connect and follow our speakers here. You'll get a little bit more about what they do and their links and their things that they do. And then all the people who did get awards, even if there was a little error on the slide, our volunteers were working till late last night as people were still putting in their nominations to get that out. That's also going to be updated and on our website and in order. And then we will be mailing these wonderful certificates. I'm sorry I didn't get to show you guys, but there's also a link on our website that asks for you to donate to MM360. We are a global nonprofit organization that operates off of volunteering and funded by the leaders you see here. So anything that keeps the lights on and what we do at this point, we're working on getting grants. There's so much coming from us. So we ask for you to tap in, go to our social media handles, like and follow, connect with the leaders here that you heard on the panel today. And let's begin. I am praying that when I send out the email to the powerful men on here and say, when are y'all going to actually start meeting and talking? Because I'm not going to be there, guys. That you all say yes and you find places and ways to do it. Listen, Zoom always works. I'll let y'all use my account. You can also use the movement's Google account as well to meet and have even a 1-hour conversation. We're going to roll out what the Men of Mastery department looks like, and we're looking for men to take on and lead that. It won't be too much. It's just building a system and a place where you can have regular conversation, and then we're going to move into the actual space. We can start virtual, and then we're going to move into the real space, as we will do everything. Next year, Rise of Kings will be live somewhere in the world. Listen, above all things, keep mastering your mindset. Think, speak, do become. Become a part of us and stay being a part of us. I'm Dr. Lisa and the rest of our team here at MM360 saying love, light, peace, and blessings, and we'll see you later. We're going to sign off to our live viewers, and then if anybody wants to mingle, we will for another 5 minutes, and we'll be out. Trevor, how do I get off live?
That's a great question.
Okay, right where I started it, right? And like.